legally distinct holiday music plays in the background.
Well, that's everything ready for the big holiday party. Now I just have to wait for everyone to show up.
Knock, knock, knock.
Oh, wow, it's the guests. Let's go let them in. This is Blue's Clues.
Read it again.
Okay. Oh, wow, it's the guests. Let's go let them in.
Door opens. Merry Camper!
Merry Camper to you too. Come on in. You know, it's always so fun to celebrate the holidays with you here at OSG Studios. I might have gone a bit overboard on the decorations.
It looks great, Brian. I really like how you put tinsel all over Mount Snakemore.
And do I spy a gun tank topper on the tree? You really went all out.
Thanks, you guys. Now, I have made us up some festive Sharon Apple teenies to sip on for tonight's festivities, but I think there's one more person arriving.
Knock, knock, knock. I hope that's not Shar Aznabal.
No, can you read that as you've written it?
I hope that's not Shar Aznabal.
The revision. Or some cheap knockoff version from a different timeline, perhaps called Chaz Aznabal.
Oh my goodness, it's PMC from Twitch.com and Giant Robot FM. Merry Camper.
Oh, Merry Camper to you guys too. I just wanted to let you know that Hero himself is the heart of Christmas.
Is that what he is? Thank God.
Well, come on in. We're just about to sit down and do our favorite holiday tradition here at OSG Studios. Watch some giant mechs blow things up.
Then we fade to regular intro. I think.
See, Alice just really wanted to direct a Hallmark film.
All systems nominal.
それでは早速全速前進
You wanna know what the weak point of a mech is? The fucking pilot.
Get away from her, you bitch!
His papers say he was a raven. Protocol 3.
A pattern blue!
Welcome to On the Shoulders of Giants, a giant robot power hour discussing mechs across media, their stories, and why we love them. I'm Alice, and I'm joined by Brian.
I waited until right now to tell Nico that Zex Merkis is the Shar Aznabal of this.
I mean, I'm not shocked.
And Nico.
To protect this podcast, I would become the god of death any day, which means I will be killing everyone on this call and then myself.
And because it's a holiday, we've invited over some of our dearest friends. PMC is with us.
Hello. I wanted you to know that the existence of an endless duel and an endless waltz implies the existence of a Gundam Wing endless 4 to the floor.
And this holiday season, to celebrate Merry Camper, we're discussing We Have Maneva Zabi at Home, Gundam Wing, Endless Waltz. Let's launch into it. Nico, you get that reference, right?
No, I don't understand anything. I've never understood anything in my life. I know less now than I did after I went to college. And I thought I knew less then, okay? I've never read Ulysses by James Joyce, and I feel less cultured for having watched this and knowing what I'm missing there than I do for knowing about Ulysses. Anyway,
okay, let's say it at the top. I have seen this movie before. Brian has seen this movie before, and PMC has seen this movie about 5 million times. But Nico, you've never seen this, right?
No, I only knew these characters from that one scene that got posted to Tumblr where there's the love letter and he says, "I'll kill you." That's all I know about anyone that was in this film.
Not any of the other parts got to Tumblr, just that? None of the homoeroticism?
Okay. It's crazy how Tumblr actually did not latch on to Duo and Quattro for some reason. It's really, really insane.
This was before Tumblr's time, and what they got instead was Voltron Legendary Defender.
Yeah,
we saw how that turned out. So maybe we're okay.
This is a blessing, actually. I also want to come off of the top and apologize to PMC because I feel like, unfortunately, he's been cursed to talk about this fucking anime for like a month straight, nonstop, for hours and hours.
It's your favorite thing at this point, right?
I mean, look, it is the reason for the season is what else can I say? Is Gundam Wing Endless Waltz, which is one of those things. There's a frequent thing you hear in Gundam Wing fandom, which is that Gundam Wing is much better to talk about than it is to watch, and I really continue to feel that's true, and it only grows more true. Like the more I regret watching it, but the more I enjoy talking about it.
Yeah.
Something I want to also say at the top is our Oni-chan podcast, Giant Robot FM, is doing a great dive into Gundam Wing Endless Waltz. So if you want to actually know the wild story behind the production of this and some in-depth discussion about this, really go check out their coverage, because I'm about to just talk about a child fascist in a way that's a little problematic, okay?
This is what you can expect from OSG. It's just like no facts, just problems.
Those history episodes are really, really good. I'm only 3/4 of the way through the first one, but I know that the second one is good because of how much manga PMC had to read for it. So
I read an upsetting amount of manga for that. I think I posted the stack, and then Brainchild 129 Megan was like, "No, don't do that. Don't." She's like an expert in manga, right? Like she has like a blog of manga. She was like, "Just don't do that." I'm like, "Too late, Megan. I already read it all. I already seen everything."
What she didn't realize is that was like a crime scene photo and not like here's my weekend plans. Like, no, this was the aftermath.
Don't you see the chalk outline next to the pile of manga?
Like, of all of the Gundam manga to read, that's it. That's my full end sentence on that thought is, wow.
Yeah, picking up every volume of manga was like a 50-50, whether it read right to left or left to right. Like, I had no idea. Like, it could be anything.
This was before the era of opening it on the wrong side and getting like a really condescending page that would tell you that you were let me get this right, a Baka Gaijin. And
one of them had it right to left, but
Weeb alert.
But then they had a preview for a different manga at the back, and that was read left to right. I don't know why.
Keep you on your toes, keep you guessing.
One time I was at a bookstore, and in the used manga section, they had the little single issue Gundam Wing comic books, which when this was coming out, they would release each chapter as its own zine. And I thought deeply about buying those. And then I said, absolutely not.
It's crazy how like impenetrable and non-understandable the plot of Gundam Wing is, and how much like tertiary media was produced by it. And I have to think that absolutely none of that media clarified anything.
There are 3 different versions of what happens between Gundam Wing the TV show and Gundam Wing Endless Waltz, and they conflict. So there's no canon.
There's no canon.
I'm glad that there's a Gundam that just is historiography. Like, okay, this is actually a text that's going to teach you about like understanding the differences between primary sources.
So, I think pointing to the Giant Robot FM history episodes is pretty good, because I think all we're really going to talk about is that this was produced by Sunrise between 1997 and 1998, depending on the version that you watched. And we watched the theatrical release version. So
I watched both in preparation for this, and both dub and sub. In total, I watched this 4 times before we came to this record, because here's a little fact about me. This is a comfort movie for me.
Penis is like being boiled by like a frog, and Alice is just like, I love it here in the soup.
Now, are we all sub and dub folks here, or what version of this did we watch?
I watched sub for once. I think lately I've been watching a lot of dub, but the legal Blu-ray that I purchased, yes. It started in Japanese with subtitles, and so I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna sit here. And this is a very funny thing. I was trimming and shaping my fingernails I just was like, wanted something to do with my hands.
That's some dyke shit right there.
I was just sitting there trimming my fingernails down because they were getting too long. Like I could see the white. Anyway, I
Always
was
gotta
doing
be
that,
ready to go.
and I realized I was so transfixed by whatever the fuck was happening in this movie that I did 4 fingers on my left hand, and then I just stopped. And then at the end of when credits started, I looked down and was like, oh, I've got to finish doing this.
That's how you know it's good.
Yeah, there's no room to breathe in this hour and 30 to hour and 35 minute, depending on the cut version.
I was in the sauce. I was surrounded by boys.
What about you, Brian and PMC? Subs or dubs?
I'm subs only. There are like 3 dubs in my life that I have been able to stand. I can't do it. It's weird.
You don't want to run the risk of having the happy accident of encountering Bryan Cranston like I did with Macross?
No.
Just no.
No.
I mean,
I'm
I'm of the ancient breed of people who saw this air on television, and so naturally the dub is near and dear to my heart. A lot of these folks in this are also in countless other things. Scott McNeil, Rat Trap from Beast Wars, among a million other things, and you got all sorts of people who are just constantly everywhere. So yeah, I mean, I watched the dub again. Like my super legal version of this was probably taken off of the internet in the mid 2000s through my college network. So it's just like, that's just kind of how it is for me. I remember I once podcasted about this and had a co-host who was like, I'm going to listen to the sub and it's going to make Gundam Wing a serious and sober affair that I can seriously analyze. And no, that didn't work out. So, I at this point, I'm sure the original actors are doing a fantastic job, but I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to stick with the comfort food. It's the holidays.
That's so fair.
So having listened to this many times, and yeah, I'm of the same generation of I watched this on Toonami when it was Gundam, and then that's my first experience watching Endless Waltz was the Toonami dubbed version. I actually think the child actor did really good with Mary Maya. And the thing I will say after multiple rewatchings, and this might be because I was a little high the last time I rewatched it, is that the Japanese voice actresses playing our our female leads, our Lady Un, Lady Noin, they are thirsty in their line reads. And I don't think the dub is as thirsty as the original audio.
I just have to say that I think I also watched the dub on Toonami, and I would be hard pressed to be convinced that the line reads that Dorothy gives at the end of this movie are better in English than they are in Japanese, because those are some of the best lines ever spoken by anyone.
Desiwa. I love a Desiwa character every time I hear it. Give me an Ojo-sama any day. Also, yeah, do you remember Dorothy, Nico, from your time? Or did this just random rich woman come up and call a bunch of people cucks?
My understanding was that the entirety of the Japanese working class was gathered on the mall.
They were in Brussels.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
They were gathered on the mall, and then they got kind of like bullied by like a random woman who I'd never encountered before in my life. And I went, oh, this is the woman that Alice is obsessed with. No, I'm kidding.
This is the justification for the theatrical cut. Dorothy's not in the original OVA of Endless Waltz. This only shows up in the theatrical release.
Isn't that wild? Like, it's such an important plot to have them show up and her push them over the edge, but whatever.
I don't know that it is. I think they could have just cut to people in the streets and just taken that as organic and not one woman bullying a mall square.
Wing is about women telling men how to be better people. That's the whole plot.
That's true. And
that's true.
As someone who has recently beaten Dragon Age the Veilguard, now I'm going to cut this. The ending of that game that I've gotten twice now was a lot of women trying to tell men how to be better people.
So this is part of Gundam, and specifically this is in the Wing timeline. What exists in the Wing timeline? Thanks for asking. Gundam Wing and Gundam Wing Endless Waltz. And then a bunch of tertiary and auxiliary stuff that it exists, right, PMC?
That's right. I agree, Alice. They should animate Frozen Teardrop. Thank you for suggesting that.
That's exactly what she said too, which is
that's crazy that's exactly what she said.
That's the shit they're gonna quote when you're in the Hague PMC.
Okay, what the fuck is frozen tear, okay? Because again,
okay, we can talk about frozen teardrop.
This is all I've encountered of Gundam Wing, period.
I mean, so it's a manga set in the future where basically the science goes off the rails. They're on like other planets in the solar system. There are clones. There's cryo sleep. There are other Gundams that look really wild. Like there's one like a Gundam Prometheus that basically looks like a Nicholas Wolfwood Gundam, as far as I can tell. I've not actually read it, but I've never been more primed in my life to read it. I feel like after reading all that manga set between the show and the movie, and also I guess episode 0, which I read as well. But
yeah, you're ready. You're ready for it.
Listeners won't see the deep bags under PMC's eye and the staring into the middle distance as he discusses this.
They got clones in this one.
There's a hero clone, and his name is Hero.
What? They put more E's?
Just like Heir to the Empire. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think Gundam needs more clones. But we need to actually get into talking about what we're actually here to talk about, which is Gundam Wing Endless Waltz. Brian,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What happened in this movie?
You know, it's funny because events don't really follow from one to the other, but I'm going to do my best to like just kind of say the thing. It is after Colony 196, and humanity has had quote unquote peace and quote unquote freedom for 1 year, following the events of the original Gundam Wing run. We have an interesting dilemma where, because we have quote unquote peace and quote unquote freedom, everyone has gotten rid of all of their weapons except for one rich little girl. This rich little girl has realized that she is the only one with weapons and has decided that perpetual war is actually better for humanity. So she is going to plunge all of the colonies and Earth into, like I said, perpetual conflict. This devolves quickly into, just like the show, weird faction splitting. For some reason, people are on one side, and for some reason, people are on the other side. The important thing you need to know is that at the end of the day, there is a extremely long and extremely well animated mech fight that ends with the realization that we can throw down our weapons and children can survive being shot. And that's really all that you need to know about Gundam Wing Endless Waltz. Oh, it's Christmas. Sorry. That's the really important. That's actually the plot point. It's Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes, all of this happens between Xmas Eve and Xmas itself. This is a less than 48-hour revolution.
I would just like to point out that it happens in like 30 hours. And in that 30 hours, Quatric basically goes to the sun and back.
Yeah.
We got to talk about space physics, but first, we got to go to a break.
Hey, Nico here in the break. Just wanted to let you know that while this is a podcast, and we'll always do our best to describe visuals we're commenting on, we'll also include links to the mechs and images we discuss in the show notes, and post actual photos on our show website. Along with that, make sure to check the show notes for content warnings as appropriate to the episode. That's all for now. Back to the show.
Welcome back from the break. Well, guys.
Hello.
It's Merry Camphor. Let's get into the festive spirit. And let's talk about what happens in Gundam Wing Endless Waltz. So, first thing, we haven't seen the boys in a while, and what are they up to? Sending the Gundams into the sun.
Yeah, I gotta say, okay, as briefly mentioned before, I don't know these boys. These are new boys to me.
Can we talk about the cold open since you don't know anything? It just starts with the end of the series and the giant space war with no context for you. Yeah. How do you feel about that space battle?
For me, it was like the Star Wars opening crawl. Like, there was just like this whole bit, and I was just like, okay, this is really well animated and cool looking. I guess this is what happened. And I just kind of took it as read. It's whatever. But it was very funny for me to enter a Gundam, like, piece of media, and my first introduction to any of the characters and any of the mobile suits is we are firing these bitches into the sun.
So yeah, everybody but Wu Fei has agreed to get rid of the Gundams because we're in peace times now.
Yeah, and Quattro put it together because in this group of friends, only Quattro can make plans. The rest of them are just kind of there.
Can we be 100% clear here? There is a character in Gundam who is actually Char Aznable, who's named like Quattro Vagina, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And now there is a little blonde twink in this one named Quatra?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Because he's the fourth pilot. Do you get it?
I just think it should be illegal.
Hey, what if I
can't
told
do
you?
timelines. People like
What if I
this.
told you that Hero's name is actually fake, and he also borrowed his name from a different character in the same
Y'all have gotta
timeline?
have names from your mothers. What the fuck is happening?
I do like at the end when he's just like, you know, we all are just given our names, so who gives a fuck? It's just such a great throwaway line. It's like, yeah, what's a name? What's in a name? I chose my name.
We should probably just go over the boys really quick.
Yeah, let's go through the boys and their creepy scientist dads.
Because I have a very important question about two very important boys.
So
go
let's
ahead and
start
run
with
through them
Hiro
quickly.
Yui.
Yeah.
Hiro Yui is the pilot of our main boy, Wing Zero. And Hiro Yui is a trained from birth assassin murderer person who hates everything, but he's found love. He works under Dr. J. Dr. J is the one with the robot hand and the cool ass glasses.
Yeah, there's a lot of like fucked up OG songs
And he has
in
the
this.
down-facing mustache.
Yeah, thank you for specifying the direction of the mustache. Because like I said, there are a lot of fucked up like old grandpas that are science grandpas.
For each boy, there is a grandpa. That's basically the plot of the original show.
What are your guys' thoughts on Hiro Yui?
I cannot believe that Full Metal Panic just stole him. Like, Sosuke from Full Metal Panic is just this character. Like, that... You could take this to court.
Who could take...
I was literally... Because I mentioned briefly before, I don't even remember if we were recording, but, like, my anime of this era is Martian Successor Nadesco, which is a parody of most of this stuff. Which is really funny because I am coming at this back asswards. Like a lot of my touch points for mech media of this period is the parody of most of the mech media from this period. But I felt like I knew this character and I was having deja vu even though I did not know this character.
Hiro is the original edgelord to me. He's just incapable of positive thought and like... you'd think in 50 episodes that starts to wear on you, but for some reason, like, I know what he's gonna say in any situation, which is just something full of malaise. That's it. That's the character.
Some people have depression, Brian.
I think one of the things that Gundam Wing fans understand well is that a lot of the boys best operate in pairs. And I think this...
Yeah, they do. Fujoshis know.
I have visited AO3. I can confirm.
And this movie
theory.
does deploy a good bit of that. I mean, the hero duo pairing, I think, is always kind of a favorite just because Hero plays such an effectively like funny, dry straight man to Duo's comedic bits.
Great at Tsukomi. Just...
Yeah.
So good at it.
And so like honestly, I came away from this viewing sort of endeared to Hero, sort of convinced that maybe he is more than just sort of a tightly packed cluster of violence and like malaise. So I don't know. I thought he was pretty funny at times in this, or at least I was really convinced that he was funny.
He had some lines. I do, yeah. The interplay between the 5 pilots is probably the best dialogue in this, in my opinion, because you really get everything about the relationships from the series condensed into very brief interactions. Like, we start with Duo and Quattro, who are kind of the only people who have humanity in them, who are like, oh, we actually realize we have to socialize and talk and can't just brood all the time. And I really like that. Speaking of, let's get to Duo. Duo is an uke. Real power bottom energy.
Okay.
This is the coverage we're bringing you that Giant Robot FM just can't. Like, they don't know.
The Deathscythe, and his professor dad is Professor G, the one with the giant wild bowl of hair.
I love him.
Straight out mustache and a nose that could cut through diamond.
Duo's professor is the best professor to me. I love him so much.
So we can, I think we can kind of condense the flashbacks in this into this portion, because we got a lot that we didn't get in the series on the origin of this. So we didn't really know that Duo had this relationship with Professor G where he was like, what was the line, Nico?
It was something to the effect of, because he's going to blow up the Deathscythe. And he's like, listen, if we're decommissioning this, I'm burying us with the tomb. Like, he was gonna kill everyone on the base and then himself because he's the angel of death or whatever. The god of death. He did Shinigami is the word he uses. Yeah. Bizarre moment for me.
Bizarre moment.
I was going to bring in I just want to connect a few historical dots just because people watching this might be like, especially Nico might ask, like, why is this information here in this movie? And Gundam Wing's, the television show's troubled production, in the middle of the show, they kicked off the director at a time when they were going to make episodes that were flashback episodes. Instead, those episodes became clip shows. And so that material became the episode 0 manga, which was written by Sumisawa, the head writer. And then information from that, from that background material, that flashback episodes, then became incorporated into Endless Waltz and got animated. So it's basically, it's all material that was supposed to have been deployed in the middle of the TV show and then got canceled because of production troubles and then became manga and then became Endless Waltz. Well, part of it.
Yeah, they're like, this is our one chance to get this in here. If we're going to add Endless Waltz to the record. Okay, this makes sense. I have to say, I am endeared to Duo Maxwell, I think is his name.
Yep.
I don't know. Obviously, I don't know these boys, but I was programmed very young by Full Metal Alchemist to be endeared to a shonen protag with a braid. And so I saw the braid and I was like, now that's a boy I can recognize. That's a boy I can tell apart from the others, which was going to become difficult. Because let me tell you, okay, this flashback where he's like, I'm going to become the god of death, whatever. Yeah. Got me so confused because there are a lot of edgelord boys in this. And for a while I had him confused with Troa because I was like, oh, Troa's got that sad hair. Troa must have been the one who was the god of death, right? And I just...
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can talk about Troa next, but Hero is a prototypical edgelord. Troa is Raiden.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Troa Barton, number 3, Troa is French for choice. I don't...
No, you don't.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get it? But they're all different nationality. Okay. Troa pilots the Gundam Heavyarms. It's called that because it has heavy arms, which are carrying guns.
Huge.
This has been Nico's favorite Gundam, even though she didn't know it.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me. There's a moment during a confrontation, because the boys initially are on kind of separate sides, where Troa is just unloading with a semi-automatic.
Oh my god, yes!
While standing stationary in a doorway. And one of the other ones is like, I know this fighting style. And yes! What fighting style? And then I realized it was Troa, and he piloted the heavy arms, and I was like, oh, this is his fighting style. His arms are guns.
Gotta deploy that heavy machine gun. You gotta get into prone. You can't move. You lose accuracy.
That is my favorite moment in the whole movie, honestly.
It gets me every time. Yeah.
Troa's backstory is he was a no-name who fought in the wars, and the actual Troa Barton was a piece of shit.
Was like a 35-year-old blonde man, and they were like, fuck it.
With trust fund money, who is like, fuck you guys, I want to rule over the poor people on Earth and kill a bunch of people. And they're like, oh no, we don't actually want that.
Am I recalling correctly that Troa's flashback is kind of an up. I don't remember in the original show ever questioning Troa Barton's identity. Like, this was so surprising to me for some reason.
Well, Troa always was like, oh, this is a fake identity. Like,
okay, that's fair.
I am a clown who wears many different masks.
I should say the last time I watched Gundam Wing the show was the first time I had COVID. And that's that. So
PMC, do you have any insight on this?
Oh, with that, one thing I will say is that I feel like some of the cleverest writing in the film is the way they're able to tie the like abandoned flashback material into the plot. Because it actually,
it's really good.
Yeah, it does kind of make sense. Like, oh, so like, these like wholesome boys, when they dropped to Earth, they weren't actually doing Operation Meteor. Operation Meteor was a much more typical evil Gundam plan of, dropping a colony on the Earth or whatever.
Never thought of that one.
And so it kind of works out. I mean, obviously it doesn't quite in the TV show, everything is much more like the Gundam science creeps have made child soldiers and they're just killing everyone.
Yeah, the show is really just like, oh no, this was Operation Meteor, is just dropping sociopathic children we've trained from birth to kill Oz.
They're not even sociopathic children. They're just teenage boys, okay? And they need help.
Wow.
Dr. S is Troa's dad, and you'll know Dr. S because no mustache, but the best nose ever seen in a Gundam series.
Yeah, I mean, well, many of you might recognize him as David Lynch as well, so...
Hold on, what? Hair? Oh my god.
Boo this man, boo.
For a second I thought you were saying he voiced him. Because Bryan Cranston voiced a character in Mechs. I can't count anything out. David Lynch could have voiced a character in Gundam. There's just like no way for me to know.
That's true.
There are ways for you to...
No, you could say anything to me about Gundam and I would believe you because I don't have the energy or initiative to go look it up. So I just have to live with the facts as presented to me. Like in this movie.
I love it. Our next pilot is Quattro Reberba Winner, our pretty boy Middle Eastern oil magnate.
He's the Lawrence of Arabia of Teenage Gundam.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yeah, you now know the entire Gundam Wing series. Congrats. That's his whole
Jet
plot.
is here. Sorry. Jet is here from Cowboy Bebop?
Wait, who?
His second in command looks like Jet, like the facial hair.
Okay, yeah.
He looks like young. Am I remembering the name correctly? Jet from Cowboy Bebop?
No, you're right.
Okay.
I just didn't know what the fuck you were talking about.
Like the way this character, because he's obviously younger, he has brown hair, but like the whole build, the facial hair structure, everything, he looks exactly like Jet, which led me for a brief moment to have like a delusion where I'm like, is this a prequel to Cowboy Bebop?
God.
Is this what was happening?
Doing?
Before... I was baffled. I was so distracted by him for a minute, it took me a while to realize that this was Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Quattro's the one that feels guilty about everything. Like, that's basically it with him.
Okay, Quattro in the language of our times is the mom friend.
Yes,
okay?
Absolutely.
And I hate it for him because I'm just looking at him and I'm like, I know you are the only one who's like trying to coordinate Secret Santa. I know you're the only one who is like writing Christmas cards to people. Okay, there's a thing I do in my family where I write all the Christmas cards and then I put them in a stack on the table and everyone else just comes and signs them.
Yep.
I know Quattro is doing that for the whole crew. That is the only reason anyone gets a nice card from these boys.
Wu Fei never signs them. He just like cuts them with a knife or some shit. I don't know. Some Wu Fei shit. We have to get into it. It's Professor H, and you know him.
Right. Yes.
Professor H did the Sandrock, and his mustache goes up and to the side.
Yes.
You could have just put Wario in here, and I wouldn't have noticed. Like, Wario just could have been one of these professors, and I wouldn't have noticed.
I really like his backstory with the Sandrock and Quattro, which is just like, oh, fuck this shit. Just take it and go. Which is pretty much all of their reactions to what happens is like, oh yeah, none of us actually want to do Operation Meteor like we're being told to do. Chang Wu Fei is our fifth pilot and pilots the Shenlong Gundam.
I heard of this Gundam because I know Brian liked it.
This is my favorite Gundam.
Yeah, that's all I knew about this guy.
The creator of the Shenlong is Master O, who we don't get to see in these flashbacks because the flashbacks are about how Wu Fei's old colony was going to be used for the original Operation Meteor. So it was set for demolition by the version of the Colony Corporation in this universe. And instead they were like, well, let's just drop it on Earth because fuck those guys. And everyone on there is like, yeah, let's do it. That sounds fine. We'll all die. Who cares? And Wu Fei's like, I don't want to do that.
I just think it's so funny because if you're thinking about it, it's like if the states floated above the earth and like Idaho was just like, we're done here. Kill it.
But also Idaho was space China.
So that's our crew. That's our boys. So
I will say about Wu Fei, I feel like this is a character who kind of people don't really care as much about. I don't know. That was the energy I got because there's like the 4 other boys and then this guy's just kind of over here. He's also having a Metal Gear Solid plot happen to him. He's just like, damn, what are the purpose of soldiers without war? And I'm just like, damn, you and the boss should hang out. Like,
my opinion on this is that's his character type and it's what makes him even more interesting. Like, he's a hero who actually does the brooding shit.
Out of the womb, he is still in Vietnam.
War is the war. So, the first part of this. So, this is kind of the theatrical release, and this is kind of broken out into a 3 OVA series. It's pretty easy to get the chapter breaks in this movie because it feels like we're ending an episode of Gundam Wing and going into the next episode. So this first part, I'm calling All Your Favorites Are Back. And it's basically us going through the list of what's happening. So we learned that the war ended last Christmas Eve, and we're having a celebration 1 year after to celebrate this. And we are being introduced to all of our characters. Now, I'm specifically interested in Nico's opinion on MILF that motherfucker, because we got some MILFs. We got Noin. We got Lady. We got.
These are like 32-year-old women.
Yeah, I can't co-sign this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, you will have to go much older for me to co-sign that as a MILF that thing. But I do like seeing just like adult women. Like, hey, there they are, adult women. You know they pay taxes. Like, hi, this is nice. It's nice in an anime, and especially in a shonen anime. To not have a bunch of teenage girls running around doing really exaggeratedly feminine stuff to really contrast boys being really exaggeratedly broody or whatever. It's nice to just like have some adult women around, though, of course.
I like the way that Sally and Noin kind of counterbalance the dudes rock scene of Duo and Hero piloting a small shuttle past all those mobile suits. Like, that shit whips ass. I love that scene so much.
Are you referring to call sign water and call sign fire?
Yes.
Okay, because we needed just more nouns.
Yeah.
As we have said a few times, I have not seen anything else. I mean, I do this like every time we cover a Gundam property. I have seen 0080 War in the Pocket. I have engaged with Jivo. I have seen G-Savior. And now I have seen this. And that is all the context that I have for anything that's happened here.
Lady Young's dub voice is the same as Cynthia Graves from G-Savior.
Yes, let's go!
Yep.
That's fantastic. I wish I'd watched the dub now. But, like, there's so many nouns in this, and at a certain point, they just keep saying nouns, and I'm like, I don't know if these are old nouns that they're bringing back, and this is a huge moment for the fans, or if these are new nouns, and I just had to just start accepting it. It's like when you first read A Clockwork Orange. A lot of things are going to be said to you, but eventually you pick up the vernacular.
Something I specifically wanted to do on air is, Nico, I want to talk about Lady Un, because you didn't get to see the glow-up that happened in the series. So here's the before and after the glow-up of Lady Un.
Oh, this chick. Okay.
Yep.
So she went from Dark Academia to Milsim.
Yeah,
took off glasses, let down her hair, found love.
Oh, yeah. It was the 90s. This is the 90s makeover thing. That's literally what a glow up was in the 90s. They just were like, straighten your hair and take your glasses off so you can't see anything, or I guess get contacts. But that is a glow up. You are now a beautiful woman. And it's like, okay. Like if you think the woman on the left is just beautiful as the woman
I wonder
on the right.
I wonder if Trey's had like the glasses in her contract as part of her uniform.
Oh, I don't like the
like
implications of that sentence.
Honestly. Oh, another noun drop. Krushanat.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce his last name?
Kushranada?
Alice.
Yeah, it sounds right. We're getting nouns left and right. Speaking of nouns, what colony are we going to, PMC?
LX 183999.
I don't think there's a 3 in there. I think it's just 999.
I was trying to see if I could do it from memory.
You got really close.
Unfortunately, very close.
The numbering scheme is here. Is this like the Xbox where they went from like Xbox to 360 to 1? Like, is that how we number colonies?
One of the really funny things about like model names and things in Gundam Wing is they're all super like they're basically 90s AOL screen names. Like if you
XXXG-01H2 Gundam Heavyarms Custom.
Yeah, if you
I hate
if you boot up like a PS2 era Gundam game and you're like, oh, I want to play Encounters in Space, the versus mode, and you're like scrolling through and it's like RX-782, you know, MSO35, whatever, you know, and then you get down to like the guest star like Gundam Wing units and it's like XXXXXX.
Gundam, I'm going to kill everyone in this facility and then myself, XXX.
The setup here is so breathless, but like basically
this whole movie takes
it
barely any breath.
It never stops.
I will say, I kind of liked the ensemble. I liked it was clear enough to me that like, listen, we are in the aftermath of a war. There are some kind of like background ops happening to try to prevent another war from happening because we had a lot of advanced technology that was used for warfare kind of circulating. And everyone's really tense and they don't know if things are going to work. And the teenage heroes, which I wasn't clear on their ages in this, but like the young heroes who were used for war were, you know, disarming. And like, I kind of got the gist of like the delicate situation that was being set up here, even if I didn't understand any of the backstory. Like, and there were definitely reveals that happened, like when Zex shows up. I know that probably hit for people, but I was just like, damn, we gotta be shonen in here.
I was way happier to see the tall geese than I was happy to see Zex, but I totally hear you.
I was happy to see the tall geese because we got rid of all weapons, except for all of these missile pods, the tall geese, and a bunch of Leos.
Yeah. Nico, what's your read on the Gundam Wing mobile suits have this unique like head design to a lot of like the generic mobile suits where they have like a computer monitor panel face. I love it. I don't know how you feel about it though.
I you know me, like I've always been more of a fan of what the Principality of Zeon was doing in terms of design aesthetics than like the kind of samurai armor look of a lot of the Gundam models. So I thought they were cool, but I also, like, I was just seeing so many units right and left that I actually really liked, and I didn't know anything about them, like the Leos and the Tauruses and stuff. This was like Jivo to me in terms of, like, I don't know anything that's going on here, but look at all these cool robots that I'm seeing, so.
Yeah.
The Leo is probably one of the only competitors in these spin-offs for maybe better than the Zaku for a generic soldier boy. Like, most ones have just a version of the Zaku with a weird different head, but the Leo is so unique, and I love him so much. And he has variants. We get our purple space boys, our flight suits. Like, it shows a modularity that I really enjoy.
Modularity.
Yeah, those are words. Yeah.
Another thing that helps a lot, I was going to say one more Leo thing, is just that we get to see Hero and Duo do some shit in Leos, which is a real treat. I really feel like some of the early action sequences are almost the better ones when you get to see them pilot that. And that's true in the TV show as well. Like the only time we get to see like Leo or even Ares do fun things is when they happen to get piloted by Gundam boys. I wish we got to see
by a main character.
Yeah. I wish we got to see more fun things, but alas, still good.
Yeah, I wanted to ask PMC directly. So you've read like more of this than you should have. You've consumed more of this than you should have. You've seen the show. When you see Zex appear with the tall geese, what does this mean to you? Because like I said, I got the feeling it's like when you know you're missing a reference, and it's like I didn't know what that would mean for someone who had more context.
So I don't know if there is canon explanation for why Tall Geese 3 exists. The short history is that Tall Geese 1 is introduced in the TV show as a prototype for the Gundam. So it's supposed to be like the Gundam. Zex uses it, goes toe-to-toe with a bunch of the boys a lot. There's a duel in Antarctica. It was kind of fun shit. Honestly, some of the better stuff in the TV show. Later on, in a major space fight where the show has turned into Zeta Gundam for some reason,
yes,
Treize Khushrenada shows up in Tall Geese 2, which like, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine.
They had it just sitting around.
Yeah, it's sitting around. They souped it up. Cool. Great. Fantastic. And then like, yeah, you lose track of Zex at the end of Gundam Wing TV show in much the same way that you lose track of Char at the end of Char's counterattack. Who could say what happened to him? Anyway, Zex shows up again. Zex is like, I'm built different. Sorry, Char. And so he's here, and also Tall Geese 3 is here, I guess.
Yeah, which like, okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. There is 1 year behind the end of the war and this starting. There is an entire army of mobile suits that has been constructed on this new colony. And there's also the development of the Tall Geese 3 still actively happening in this era of peace. Have we gotten rid of weapons of war, guys?
There is a bit from one of the Gundam Wing mangas where like Hero and Duo are helping Relina like disarm weapons manufacturers in the intervening period. And the opening of the manga is like, well, some people are still trying to build weapons in this era of peace. And smash cut flying to Texas.
Yep.
Texas Colony or Texas, Texas?
Real life Texas.
Oh my God.
It all goes back. Texans are the least trustworthy Americans. They are the most treacherous Americans.
We've known this because of Robot Jocks for sure, yeah.
The spirit of Texas lives on.
So I want to talk about something, another thing that happens pretty early here, which is that Relena gets kidnapped.
Hey guys.
This drawing of Relena asleep on the bed is like really famous for some reason. I don't really know why, because it looks really weird to me. But also, I love how she is in this 4-poster bedroom that just also has a desk for a fascist child to sit at and stare at her.
My headcanon is that the desk was already there, and she was like, well, we can't just put the passed out Relena on a couch, bring her a bed for a princess while I wait for her to wake up. This was wild. Relena is now like ambassador to the colonies and some shit. She's given up her Peacecraft name. It's pretty cool. But then we meet my favorite character in this movie. Nico, how did you feel about Maneva Zabi? I mean, Mari Maya.
I think
that's Maneva.
I just wanted to show the parallels between these two. It's so hard.
Alice has posted a picture of Maneva Zabi in the chat.
And you know what? I see it. I just want to say this is normal for girls. I just think that if at age 7 I had an army of mobile suits, this is exactly the kind of shit I would do. Like, I would just...
You know, what people always talk about how girls go through like an esoteric witchcraft phase at 13, but they don't talk about how girls go through a militant fascist phase at age 7.
The thing is, like, all kids are cruel, but I think there's a specific, like, kind of weird part of socialization of young girls, and especially in more conservative areas. I had some of the evilest, meanest friends when I was 7 years old in Texas. So I need you to understand that when this child appeared, I was like, oh, this is normal for girls. Because I was just primed for this. I mean, it's utterly bizarre to me that there's this like extremely scheming 7-year-old. I like some of the stuff at the end that we'll get to about like a character beat kind of swap and change, but like... I don't know. I mean, it's transparently the grandfather puppeting this, but also it's just kind of like, I don't know why they decided that the weird child was going to be the center of this. I kept thinking about that bit from One Punch Man. It's like, you know, who is this sassy lost child?
I think this is a huge knock-on effect from I think we actually discussed this off air, but one of the things you find out if you listen to the Giant Robot FM history episode is that they were like on this weird constraint to sort of reinvent First Gundam, but also do it differently, which is why we're getting like Maneva Zabi again, which is why we're getting a colony drop again. But yeah, it's kind of strange how it's like you kind of got to play the classics, but make it a little bit different. And I also think the funny thing about this too is that we don't really get a compelling... I'm just going to say I'm third in line to slap her. I don't understand why we like care about her weird redemption arc at the end.
I care.
Of course you do.
We'll get into my defense of her later on.
PMC, it looked like you were about to say something.
I was going to say
Your
that, with a lot of this media that I first experienced when I was much younger and more impressionable, my brain had a tendency to try and fit things together in some sort of categorization or genre. For example, being first exposed to Gundam Wing and then seeing First Gundam aired, I tried to say, like, are these directly connected in some way? Of course, I know the answer is no. But nevertheless, I was trying to piece it together. And I'll tell you this
is huge info for me because I didn't know that these were different. I thought somehow I
said these were different timelines 50 different times. In this same episode.
Yeah. I don't understand. Anyway, please continue.
In the genre of anime films that were then edited to be broadcast on Toonami, for some reason I just felt like anime films must have like really short antagonists, because like Mari Maya goes in the same basket as like Garlic Jr. to me, like from the Dead Zone or something. Yeah. So like that's just if they were tall, you would have a TV show. If they're short, you can just put them in a movie.
I love this theory.
I'm taking notes.
It's like bigger Luke, but it's smaller evil.
Smaller trays.
Shorter runtime, shorter villains.
So we'll wrap up this first part with talking about Hero's backstory. We got to get into it. We got to talk about it.
Do we?
Hey, guys. Why does Hero have humanity? Dead dog.
Because of a dead dog.
God, I was like having to remember which of the boys he was again.
This was actually an interesting piece of composition because we get one of the famed sequences that happens in the first Gundam Wing intro theme is Relena walking through some ruins and finding the teddy bear in the snow. And Hero has like that exact scene, which I did think that was like very purposeful and a very interesting mirror. But other than that, I'm like, yeah, he accidentally killed a bunch of people.
I do like the part of it when he's jumped over a fence after planting bombs on a bunch of military installations, and he's thrown himself onto the grass, and he's actually happy in this moment. He's like proud of himself. And then, Child Who's Going to Die comes over and talks to him. I don't know. I thought it was a really cool scene because something in Gundam Wing, and even in this movie, you see it a lot, is the boys are hyper competent. There is so much that happens off screen where we don't explain how Duo got out of that. And he's just in the next scene. They are also all hyper hackers who can stop a colony drop by just typing on a keyboard for a while.
From one frame to the next, Hero and Duo are piloting a little shuttle that crash lands. And then in the next scene, they are both piloting Leos.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
We'll just steal some of their mobile suits. Yeah. And it's just a given that no matter what, they're going to do that.
You know what? That was believable, though, because I could believe that either Hero or Duo would be like, it's called on-site procurement, and Solid Snake does it, too.
True.
But it's really good because we see that even Hero made mistakes, and he attributes it to showing emotion, that he accidentally knocked that over, so... And then Dead Dog, but that's cool.
I thought it was a little bit interesting, at least in the sense of, like, the difficulty of being a saboteur, especially if you're going to be... I don't know, I've been reading a lot about, like, guerrilla warfare and the history of asymmetrical warfare, especially in the 20th century, and it's like...
Getting ready for something?
No. I'm about to drop a colony.
Deny.
This is the segment where Nico tells us about a nonfiction book that she listened to.
I'm sorry, no, I'm not going to get into it. It was 32 hours. Anyway, but no, just like, it's interesting when you think about, like, if you were going to do saboteur operations, especially in an area, because, like, military installations sometimes are built out away from things, but sometimes they're just, like, right in the middle of a fucking urban center, or, like, the factory that makes an important part is right in the middle of an urban center. And it's like, when you're going to do sabotage, when you're going to do detonations, when you're going to do things like that, there is going to be collateral damage. And I like the idea that it's like, I mean, then your number one priority should probably be not sticking around so you don't have to see it. But he was younger and he was like proud of himself, so he decided to just crash in the park. And it's like, no, you should have got out of there immediately if you didn't want to feel something about the people in the neighborhood, because unfortunately you've given yourself opportunity to be in the neighborhood.
Oh, see, you have a mistake though, because part of their training is standing and looking at the thing you're gonna blow up while holding the detonators sideways.
Oh,
Yep.
that was so fun. That was like
That is
Bad
part of the
Boys 2
training.
kind of shit. Like,
Yeah.
I do like it's obviously doing something with the the fact that it's actually a toppled mobile suit that like happened to fall in that direction that really caused the collateral damage. But yeah, it's like, yes, we understand that he's traumatized.
Right. So part 2, I kind of, in my mind, put into 2 parts. The Quattro space physics arc.
Part 2.1 and part 2.2.
And the spy shit on the colony. So from the rush through it. So let's go to Quattro, because we haven't talked about our little pretty boy in a while. This fucking movie has so much space physics, matching trajectories, burning fuel. There's calculations going on.
They're doing a gunbuster. They're doing that sinking in time kind of thing. I really liked it.
I like a lot of the machine porn we get of the asteroid space station thing they're using. I also like some of the incredibly bizarre, 1 second long 3D shots we get of that thing.
Yeah.
Yo, that 3D asteroid, though.
Like, ripped straight from the PS1. I couldn't believe that thing every time I saw it. It's something now that I know about it, because a lot of people, you'll watch CCA and someone will be like, this shot of the station cost $1 million bajillion and it was, cutting edge. But that kind of thing kept happening, to obviously, as with time, the CG got better and a little more seamless. But here it's really just sort of like, it feels almost obscured. It's like, it's dark and don't worry about it. Don't look too hard at it.
It was really funny because I had a really nice transfer, shall we say, of this movie. And yeah, it's just like, it would be like in 1080 or as close to 1080 as we could get with animation cells from that period. And then it would just like, 240, you don't want to see this. You don't want to see it. I had to stop and back it up to see if my file wasn't messed up.
I want to sidebar real quick because we have PMC on the line, and I need to ask, after jumping off that thought on CG has gotten better, thoughts on Requiem for a Vengeance?
Oh, I have not watched it, actually, so I can't give too much commentary besides trailer stuff. I think I've been impressed by how gritty and dirty they've made it look in trailers, and I think that is the right way to go to avoid merely creating Igloo again, but I would have to watch it to really say more.
I'll need to know your thoughts, but in the meantime, everybody can go check out the Gundam Requiem for a Vengeance Island in Fortnite, where you can play as the characters while the Gundams fight. So check that out. But for now, we've got to talk more about
Alice, every day of my life, you're coming to me and you're telling me about some new fucked up, Gundam anime, Miku is there for no reason kind of shit.
Miku was doing a concert in the metaverse. It was great. It's a Gundam concert. She sings both the original Gundam theme and the G-Fighter theme, and it is amazing.
Every day of my life, I'm finding shit out like this from Alice.
I'm gonna illegally put it on the internet. But okay, back to Quattro. So he's got his boys. They're going to go grab this. I don't know. This whole thing is 80 degrees Fahrenheit hot?
I guess. I mean, if you're in a spacesuit, probably.
I mean, he's probably talking about Celsius, right? Right?
He's fucking Twink Lawrence of Arabia. I don't know why he's struggling with it. Maybe because it's humid.
I also love how
it's not the heat, it's the humidity.
I love how he takes off his helmet and it's so hot and he's so sweaty, and then his hair is still perfectly spiky and manicured. I love anime so much.
So cool.
That's the gel. Cool. That stuff does not move. It is fully just hard to the touch.
PMC, you're an expert on fusion reactor explosions and Venus trajectories. What are your thoughts on this? Is this physically accurate to space travel?
The idea that he can control the direction that the explosion would push him it seems a little far-fetched to me. I do have trouble buying that every time. I mean, shit, the gravity part, I don't think is a big deal, but definitely it feels like he's just going to end up like a pile of disassembled parts in the orbit of Venus, you know, like we're just going back to the Expanse.
This made me laugh because it reminded me of The Martian a little bit, because there's a specific maneuver that they have to pull off to pick up Mark Watney, and there's a lot made, especially in the book, about how delicate they have to be with the timing and the deceleration and the acceleration. I love this kind of space physics stuff. And so you know what's funny? I often forget that Gundam is like a show that happens with like space stuff, because again, we've been over what I've seen of Gundam, which is not very much, but like I always think of it mobile suit first as opposed to like the setting. And so every once in a while, like when this movie started and they were doing like, here's the colonies and here's Earth and here's peace and here's these different people moving around on spaceships, I was like, right. Oh my God, this show takes place in a universe with space colonies. I always forget because I always think it's just about the robots. So I was enjoying the fact that it was like, okay, there's a bunch of like political shit happening over here, but over here, like, yeah, the plot of Interstellar is happening.
Gundam is equally about the robots as it is about those little handle things that drag you down the hallways.
I love those things. They're really great. I like that they have one that shoots out and it almost just like fucks their whole ship up when they're doing the synchronous lineup with the meteor. They're just like, okay, we got to make sure he can get over here. And then I love that they were fully expecting him to be splattered on that meteor. Like when he like came off of it and hit it, they were like,
I did like that he was just standing on it afterwards.
It's fine.
So anyway, Quattro's the reason any of this shit works, and that's the point of the sequence.
Again, mom friend.
We get the colony rush, which is a cool sequence in which Duo shows off his driving skills. And we get our first experience of the fact that the LX18999 colony does not have doors on its shuttle bays. You can just go in and out at any time.
You can leave.
They just don't have doors. So we get on there. Obviously, the evil fascist forces have taken over. They steal some suits, and then we get, hey, where are the other boys at right now? What have they been up to?
Wu Fei has become a Hitler Youth.
Hitler, yes. We all saw the shorts.
I want to talk about their fash uniforms for 2 seconds. I absolutely love that the pilots are just in Rommel desert uniforms, about to pilot some Panzers, and everyone else is in jodhpurs, which, y'all, if you want to beat the fash allegations, don't wear jodhpurs. Ever.
Damn, yeah. It's unfortunate because I love a jodhpur. Those always look so good to me.
You have a closet of jodhpurs, is that
absolutely
correct?
That's what's I have to keep that door closed because otherwise people will see the secret.
And they'll think you're starting a fascist insurrection, and you have to supply everyone.
G-Savior.
Sorry, they'll find out that you're starting a fascist insurrection.
They'll find out.
Yeah, a bunch of other stuff happens breathlessly, huh?
Yeah. Troa snuck in because he was on the colony with his circus, and it was all part of his Keikaku plan.
I forgot this motherfucker is in the circus.
Oh, yeah, by the way. Did you... Hey.
Every time Troa has an episode of Derealization, he joins the circus.
Look, he only knows one trick. It's just that one flip where he spins in the air. He does it like 4 times in this movie, but
including in the Heavyarms, which is the best one.
In the Heavyarms custom is the best one.
I did not catch that. That is amazing. I'm glad he has one maneuver. Frankly, if I could do a flip like that, I would be doing it all the time.
I want to talk about the mech of it all because this is kind of a jump. So let's talk about the Leo. Our green boy. So the Leos we see in this all have the space flight unit on their back and are all equipped with the laser rifles as opposed to the machine gun they usually have. I love the Leo, but we also have the purple space variant. And what I like here is that they have both in these scenes because it's a mixed army. Nico, what's your thought on the Leo overall?
I like these guys. I like these guys a lot. We've discussed before that like you tend to be the person who likes the standard unit, the standing guy emoji.
I love a standing guy emoji.
I did not like like any of the actual Gundams in this, especially because some of them look like they were straight up from Spirit Halloween.
What?
Okay, the Deathscythe one, that guy looks like he went to Party City before he had a regular Gundam and he took it to Party City. Okay, that's what that looks like to me. The wing is whatever, it's fine. But anyway, but like these standard units, the Leo units, I really liked, and I especially liked that there was a purple one, and I am gonna need to get one of these guys because I like them.
Yeah, I have one of both. I do like, here's something very subtle that I like about the Space Leo of the purple, both iconic as a color and also camo for space. Like, people out here in space in their glowing white beam saber ass Gundams, and these people are like, we're gonna try and be a little subtle about it.
Mm-hmm.
Brian and PMC, what are your thoughts on the Leo, the MS06A Leo?
I love it. I agree that I don't usually like the mass-produced models. Gundam Wing is the exception. I pretty much like every single suit in all of Gundam Wing.
Yeah,
Valid.
I'm always a grunt sicko, so the fact that we do have such high caliber grunts with, I think we already called out before the distinctive optics, the display face, which shows up in all the other Zodiac grunts as well. When you think about the Aries, Cancer, Aquarius, Taurus, etc.
By the way, Nico, all of them are named after...
I picked that up, my dear.
I just got to check.
Oz, the organization of the Zodiacs,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't pick that up. I thought they were referring to Australia. Because I vaguely remembered Brian and Alice.
I thought they were referring to Australia.
We have to remember that Nico thought this was in continuity with First Gundams.
I thought, because something happens to Australia, right?
Probably. Something always happens to Australia.
Something always fucking happening to Australia.
Oh my god.
People who've read Gideon the Ninth and that whole series will know something always happens to Australia. Anyway, yeah, I don't know why I thought they were talking about Australia, but here we are.
That's perfect. I love it. But then the other one we have to talk about is the new grunt that has been added into this, which is the Serpent. Are
these the black ones? Are you going to get it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Serpent is an interesting critter because I like that so Nico, here's some background about the TV show for you. At one point in the TV show, they introduced these two mobile suits, Mercurius and V8. And the purpose of these two suits is to be just like really powerful in one way or another. One of them has the most powerful beam cannon, the other has the most powerful shields. They're kind of meant to oppose each other. And then later towards the finale of the series, they introduced a new mobile suit, the Virgo, which is a combination of the two. It has the one's laser beam and then the other's shield, and it kind of, it's a big new threat, right? You took the best of both worlds and you combined them. And here in Endless Waltz, we have the Serpent, which kind of just seems to be like, we decided Heavyarms is the best, actually. Yeah. This is just like Heavyarms mixed with, I don't even know what it's, but I mean, it's obviously Heavyarms influence is there. It's basically the same Gatling gun, but.
Yeah, it's got the Gatling, and then it looks like it does still have one free hand, because here's a funny thing. I think I told this anecdote on our Armored Core episode, but I used to get into trouble whenever I played Armored Core as a child with my mother, because I always wanted the gun arms. And then when you ran out of ammo, you were just fucked because you couldn't pick up any weapons. Yeah. You couldn't pick up anything because you don't have hands. And I'm like, you know what? This is the optimal layout. You have one Gatling arm, and then you have one arm that can still pick up stuff.
Well, he still has a hand under there.
Does he?
Yeah, that Gatling gun is held by the bottom. That's not committing to the bit. Yeah.
Oh, that's not committing to the bit. No. You got to replace your whole arm.
No, I don't love these. I think they don't look super congruous with like most other of the Oz designs, which I mean that's on purpose, I think. But it didn't do much for me. I liked seeing them get blown up.
I think the epiphany I just had is I think the Leos for me look more like Armored Core design to me. Especially because the proportions are a little bit more evenly balanced and the head shape is really different from what I've seen so far in a lot of different stuff. And then the Serpent feels a little bit more return to form in terms of big pauldrons, big feet. Like, I get it as like a defense. Yeah, I get it. It's like a defense platform, especially considering the artillery it's fucking carrying. But, God, that little fascist doll. Sorry, I keep looking at her little jawed purse.
A big problem for the Serpent is that I think it's very poorly served by the film, because the Serpent basically gets offered up as being just weak sauce. Like the finale.
Yeah, because we only see it against overpowered main characters. We never get to see it functioning against other ground soldiers. And so we get this impression that her forces are either the most like green, not having ever seen combat, but they go against it by being like, oh, these are Triz's old.
Yeah, they get beat by the Gundam boys farming achievements, because they're trying to do the pacifist run.
It's bad blocking in wrestling parlance.
That's 50 each.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing to them.
And they're doing it non-lethally, which is the only reason it's hard.
Right.
And I'm just like, okay. All right.
I mean, I liked that. That hit for me because I think one of the strongest plot points in this is I like that we don't get a firm answer as to whether or not the movie wants us to think like, was getting rid of the Gundams a mistake? Is the fact that they still blow them up at the end a mistake? When you achieve peace, does that mean you get rid of all of your weapons? To what degree does deterrency like actually factor into like statecraft? And like, I actually think this as media handles the idea of deterrence, even though it doesn't talk about them very much, like better than a lot of the stuff in Metal Gear does.
yeah, that is true.
So
low bar to clear, but yeah. And I do think it's interesting. I think I just struggled and I rolled my eyes a little bit at the non-lethal kind of showdown at the end, because it reminds me of when in like superhero movies they're like non-lethal takedowns only, and then they punch people in the head. It's like, yo, cranial trauma, like, you think you could just punch someone in the head and knock them out, but there's a lot of ways that can go wrong. And so for me, I was like, yeah, we're non-lethally punching and destroying and shooting huge war machines.
Oh, at least 14 people died. Like, there's no way.
I mean, they're
like,
in the middle of the city center at the end of this. I didn't get any evacuations.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a little bit of its quibbling, but yeah, I was kind of like, okay, we're doing non-lethal CQC takedowns.
We all know what the traffic in Belgium is like. No one evacuated. Let's be honest here.
To speak more on like mechs and machine porn. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Alice.
I just wanted to, this is a very important thing. For this record, I went and I looked for my Serpent custom and my little Mary Maya and my little Relina, because I have built and painted this kit. I don't know where it is. I could not find it in my entire studio apartment, which means I have too many Gunpla, officially. I don't know where they all are anymore.
Or they left to do some kind of fucked up coup.
But don't worry.
Like,
I did find Heavyarms custom.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yes, he does have hands.
Yep.
Okay, well, that feels like a cop-out. Commit to the bit.
Okay.
But it does make
Nico
it even
walking back her
funnier.
top surgery.
Even funnier. Well, no, this is like if boobs were holding pecs, you know what I mean? That does not make any sense.
This is just like if boobs were holding pecs.
No, but it does make it funnier when he's just holding a semi-automatic and unloading it. It's like, yeah, that's literally what he does.
Also, the machine guns are a downgrade, let's be honest. We had laser weapons at the end of Wing. Why are we using Gatling machine guns? That's it.
Agreed.
Anyway, your thought, Brian? Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say one of my favorite sequences in this. It's very Evangelion coded to me. Is when we relocate Mari Maya and Relina into their presidential manor, which then sinks below the ground and becomes a bunker. That is one of the coolest things ever.
Okay, that was Eva as fuck, though, right?
Yeah, fucking whips.
That was incredibly cool.
And then, meanwhile, of course, all the spy shit's happening. Is Sally Poe fire or water? Either way, she infiltrated.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. By the way, can we talk about
women?
The preventers?
Oh, you mean women?
This is interesting.
You mean women. And Zex.
It's like an NGO, right? This is kind of in the same vein as something like philanthropy. Like they're trying to, or is it government backed? I don't know. I'm asking. So what is the deal with the preventers?
We have an expert on the history of the preventers here with us because he read the manga where this is established. Hey, PMC, where do the preventers come from?
I mean, the text for this I would point to is the beginning of the movie because there's the one discussion that Un has with the president where the president's like, yeah, this is what we pay you for. And Un was like,
that was very funny.
They did start this before we formed the organization. Like, I don't know what to tell you, Chief. So that's probably what I would point to. Because I don't actually, there's like a little bit of this, I think, maybe in Battlefield with Pacifists, but
something you do need to know about Sally Poe. Okay, I'm going to go over, and this includes the novelization. There are 4 call signs in the Preventers that are established in the canon. Sally Poe is water.
Okay.
Lady Noin is fire. Zex Marquise is wind. And Lady Un is gold.
There you go.
That's not
and then the other thing is that to talk about what we're going to be covering next, in Frozen Teardrop, Sally's got a daughter named Kathy, and she is so sad.
Oh, I hate to see that for her.
Yeah, this seems to be my understanding of the Preventers was this is an organization of adult women who are trying to keep
and
the
Zex,
entire.
Excuse you.
Well, Zex is also there, yeah.
Zex is also an adult woman.
Okay, I gotta read this verbatim because this is fucking wild. In AC 196, after the end of the Eve Wars and the founding of the Earth Sphere United Nation, the Preventer was created as an intelligence agency that answers directly to the Earth Sphere United Nations presidents. The existence of the Preventer was highly classified, known only to the president and several key members, since the existence of an armed peacekeeping force goes against the pacifist ideals.
Yikes. That's actually why I did so many scare quotes around peace and freedom when I was giving my synopsis, because
when they shoot
this
off
is
the
all
missiles,
very...
I was like, wait a minute.
Hold on.
Pause. When the Talgie shows up, I'm like, all weapons were destroyed?
But yeah, no, it mostly just seems to be an organization of people who seem to be from B plots, like that would be my guess, or like side characters
pretty much
from main story, yeah. And they're running it. But I liked that in the sense of like I like actually seeing support on screen being helpful.
Yeah.
Like I like the idea that like Alice, you've talked about this before, that like a lot of people just think of the fighter aces and they don't think about the fact that it's like they need to land on a carrier or at a base, and there have to be mechanics, and there have to be management, and there have to be other people who support them in the field. There has to be refueling. Like, there's a lot of logistics that go into it, and so I do like seeing any kind of logistical piece around any kind of big action.
Yeah, I think it's really, it's good, it's needed, it's important. I think that really enriches things, especially in this universe. Like, the grunt soldier is very important. The Leo is very important. The magnet corps are important. You know, foot soldiers doing foot soldier stuff.
Oh, okay,
you know?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anyway, other highlights of this are, hey, punch me, duo.
That was a pretty funny sequence. It's like, okay, you punch me, and then I'm gonna fucking annihilate you.
Gut punch. So Hero's like, punch me. He punches Hero, and Hero gut punches him so hard he knocks him out. So
this was after the hacking scene where they stopped the colony fall. We kind of glossed that. They infiltrated, they got their suits, they broke in. They kind of, Tro was on the other side initially, and then they're just like, no, homie, I don't care that you're in the Hitler Youth shorts. You're our bestie forever. Let's hack together. And so they all sat at 3 different computers and hacked and hit the key that says super return, which I loved.
Yep.
And stop the colony fall, but then they need cover, and so Tro is back undercover as the Hitler Youth with the unconscious one of them.
How can with software you stop the destabilization of a colony's century?
Don't worry about it.
You can't put everything on the Internet of Things. Like, if your house is a smart house on the Internet of Things, that makes it vulnerable to hacking. So if you're trying to blow your house up to spite your neighbors, you can't have that shit on your local Wi-Fi network because someone will hack your baby monitor and they will stop you from blowing up your neighborhood. Everyone knows this.
I think the real question here is, did I read this right? So this whole gambit, Duo breaks out by just kicking the door down.
I think he has like a tiny explosive or something that I think he uses to unhinge the door.
Okay. I think I missed that.
Yeah, he pulls something out of his hair.
He always has things in his braid. That's his one secret trick.
I love that. That's
Duo rules.
Duo rules. But we also, before we get to the last chapter, we need to talk about an image flashes on the screen that we need to talk about, in which Mary Maya is talking about how her coronation is going to happen in the new year. And we get a scene showing where she's going to have the coronation with this backdrop. Now,
yes.
What does this backdrop evoke? Now, for those listeners, it's the M for Mary Maya and then a all-black eagle on top of it. It's imposing on a red background. What does this evoke for you guys?
Hey, have you gotten it yet? I know she's in Jodhpurs, so it might be a little unclear, but have you gotten it yet? Like, do you get it yet? I know that they're all dressed like Nazis, but do you get it? Do you get it yet?
Do you get it?
I do think it's funny when Nazi... Yeah. Yeah,
that's what it is. I got it.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny when Nazi imagery is deployed separated from the actions, politics, and larger aesthetic concerns of Nazis. It's always funny to see those things interpolated again, and interpreted specifically. This is an interesting kind of approach to it. They're like, if we need to signal that something is evil, we will deploy this, but not... When you deploy it, it reads different, especially for different audiences. So yeah, as this got more and more deployed, I'm like, okay, how fascist is this child? Like, what are her opinions on specific minority groups? Because apparently we're not all, homogenized.
Who knows?
There's Arabia shit happening over there.
It is also kind of a Gundam greatest hit as well. I mean, so
yes,
very much Alice was correct to bring up Minerva Zabi as a comparison point for Marimea. I, as the person who has to talk about Victory Gundam on podcasts, would also bring up, oh my God, I just forgot her name. I think, is it Maria? Who's the villain of Victory Gundam has a structure because Victory Gundam's favorite, women is the favorite kind of guy in Victory Gundam. And the show is very much about all of those things. And
we cannot get Nico into Victory Gundam. Because
I was mostly delighted about women are my favorite guy. So anyway.
Oh,
that's Maria. That's right, Maria. It is Maria. Okay. Anyway, she's the ruler of the Zanskar Empire in Victory Gundam, but like her ideology is kind of disconnected from like the people who are actually running the empire. Sort of. She's older, so I think she's a little more knowledgeable of what's going on. But like definitely, like early in the show, Victory Gundam's like, oh, we love the guillotine, and it feels like kind of a similar thing here, where like it's like, oh yeah, Marimea, our leader, she's so strong, she's gonna lead us. Also, we love colony drops.
Yeah.
So the colony drop is the threat of nuclear holocaust if you don't let us take over, and none of you can fight against us. So it's a multi-layered plot. We'll get Relina to legitimize our government somehow. And we're also going to, if nobody goes with that, we're going to be like, it's that or we drop a fucking colony on Earth. So pick your poison, bitch.
That is one of my favorite plot points is the full assumption that if Relena says, hey, actually, this tiny fascist is right, everyone will just agree with her.
I thought that was interesting. Obviously, I have no background on Relena as a character. But it was interesting to me to think about the power you have as a celebrity. And like, now I think we've progressed past that period where it's like just someone who is like beloved appearing with someone else is not enough, I think, to completely... Like, I think we have a little bit more complicated celebrity culture, but like, there is a responsibility you have when you become someone famous, and especially someone famous for... like, who's thought of well by people and, like, who you appear with. And I thought it was interesting that they specifically kidnap her, and they talk about when she cuts in on the mic to actually speak. They're like, this isn't when you're supposed to appear. It very much seemed to me that their intent was just, like, to deploy her in the background and maybe not even let her speak. Just, like, tacitly let people think that she endorsed this. And, like, I really like the idea that Relena is having to reckon with the fact that, like, no matter what you do, you can be held silent and held up and you represent something, which is really interesting to me. I like when there are characters who realize that they are not as much of a person as they are a monument.
So our last 30-minute section of this is one beautiful, glorious mech fight. We start with Wing Zero getting caught in orbit, and who's this little prick? Who's this little asshole guy who's stopping me from getting back to Earth? Oh, it's my bro, Wu Fei.
This fight was so funny because it's a good fight and there's like oceanic elements, which I love. And y'all can talk about the actual details of the fight. I just love the fact that at the end, the guy's just like, fuck it, I'm going to the bottom of the ocean.
Just absolutely sinks.
If that ain't a fucking vibe.
Straight to the bottom. I mean, this is kind of this is an interesting fight because there's like a little bit of like shonen energy here in the sense that we've just seen like the most beautiful thing that we've ever seen in our lives. They have just unfurled the Gundam Wing Zero custom with the angel wings. It's the 90s. Angel wings are maybe the most powerful thing you can deploy besides like dolphins. Absolutely incredible imagery. And
Dolphin Gundam living large in this era
would be incredible. Yeah, I think wasn't there a dolphin in Gundam X, right?
There was?
Yeah, I think there is. I think there is a dolphin that features prominently in Gundam. I have not seen Gundam X, but I've heard about that. But anyway, Wu Fei unfortunately you're going up against the boy, like in like the new Angel Gundam. Like good fucking luck.
And he's got like a snake for an arm. Like, congrats, dude.
Yeah,
I will not stand for this. Wu Fei absolutely fucking stands his ground. The fucking Shenlong Gundam rules so much.
Okay, let's talk about it. Let's start with the XXXG-00W0 or the Uwu Wing Gundam Zero.
Does it have to be the Uwu?
Yeah.
XXXG Uwu Wing Gundam Zero. So yeah, it has angel wings now. That's the upgrade. That's the upgrade from the original one.
We got the Magical Girl Gundam in G Gundam, but I do think this is a close second for most like a Magical Girl sequence that you can see in a Gundam.
I want to know who built this launch platform specifically for this, to have the wings when it unfurls and it sheds its...
like, I know we're going to launch this thing into the sun, but just in case we don't, I need it to deploy in the coolest way imaginable.
Yeah,
sorry, Nico.
I really liked it, and I like the way the wings work around it as we see it maneuver through the air at different points. I do like that there are 4, and I like how at times they seem to be used as a shield or then used for, like straightening out flight paths and stuff like that. I thought that was interesting. I'm really not the kind of person who like pogs when I see angel wings. I've left that era of my life, but I could see how this would have warped my brain chemistry when I was...
That sounds like somebody who never got the angel wings in Gaia Online would say.
Yeah.
I think that's true. I just didn't care.
What are your thoughts on the Wing Gundam Zero?
I mean, it's kind of an institution. I think I already alluded to that in my comment about it's invoking angel wings. So it's the combination of that, and the effective use, they do make them, not only is it like pretty as a static image, but as Nico just said, it is very pretty in motion as well. And the other part of it, too, is that I think it kind of plays up the parts of Wing Zero that people thought were cool and downplays the parts that were less cool or used. So, like, Zero, the computer system, we hear as much about that as we do about cans in this movie. Whose cans? Don't worry about it. But on the other hand, we do have, we get the scene that permanently rewires the brain of a teenage boy, which is firing the god laser at the bunker.
Fuck yes.
Which is just kind of, just like, that's the coolest thing of all time is the like, what are you going to do about my bunker? Like, you can't get in here, and Hero says, Roger that, and then shoots the laser 3 times as the thing falls apart. Like, that's just cool. I mean, also too, I think, just to connect specific dots in the angel imagery invocation, I would point to I really feel like the Wing Zero custom falls apart in the same manner as Sephiroth pulling apart the Genova like mech suit thing.
Yeah, that's a great call. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like it's really just pulling on like good threads that are already deep in my brain. I gotta respect it.
I will say, out of all of the Gundams that look like they went to Party City, this one had the best costume.
Thanks. The angel wings reminded me of Chobits. The other mech we see in this scene is the XXXG-01S2 Altron Gundam. Now,
God, you were not kidding. These are screen names.
Wu Fei's unit in this is unique in that his upgrade happened in the regular series. So this one we knew about from the regular series, right?
So Shenlong is the first one that appears in the TV show, and then he gets a mid-series upgrade to Ultron, which has more of like a green and blue pattern. And then there is, I think this is, I always forget if this is Ultron custom or Shenlong custom.
I think it's actually, I don't know. I had the action figure. I don't know where it went.
Yeah,
I do have the disembodied arm.
Real quick, I can visually help with this. I'm going to step. This is good podcasting. Just a moment.
Jesus Christ, I forgot we were out here.
Oh, I have both disembodied arms.
Oh, good. You just don't have the actual.
I think it's in the closet.
Man, I'm so sad. My models are in a box.
So again, just to reiterate, this is Dusty. I apologize. So this is with the blue and the more big red core. This is and it's got the scorpion tail on the back. That is the Ultron from the TV show. And then the custom that we see in Endless Waltz has a darker green coat of paint. And it's got both arms. I guess actually no, this one does have the snakes on it, because the original Shenlong only has one snake hand, whereas both the Ultron and the custom have two.
And that shit rips, by the way.
I love it so much.
Yeah, the Shenlong is pretty cool. That's it. That's my thought on it. I really like the Shenlong.
It's my favorite one, and like I can't even really say more. Like I just think it's dudes rock. This is so cool.
Nico, any thoughts?
I like this for Wu Fei. I like that he has a really cool suit and that he held on to his because he wasn't. Wu Fei's whole story in this seems to be like, I don't know where the fuck I can exist. I only know how to be part of conflict. And so the fact that he held on to his, like, I felt the significance of that not even having like the rest of the context. I think they did a good job establishing kind of his story beats just in this piece of media, which I thought it all came together pretty well. And I like that they had the really bad fight and then, here's something to really think about. I'm going to sink to the bottom of the ocean now.
Right.
Yeah, I do like this is classic, like solid versus liquid snake. Like we only exist as weapons outside the context of the battle. I'm not a person. When there is peace, I should not exist. Since I exist, there cannot be peace. Etc. Etc.
That's literally the kind of thing that's going on.
Yeah.
And it leaves it bittersweet at the end where they kind of do all the, where are the boys now? And he's like still like in Black Ops. And I'm like, well, did he get okay?
But he's like, yeah.
He's Black Ops for peace now.
It's all he ever wanted. And then the other three boys have arrived at the same time and are dropping right onto Brussels. So let's go through the other three. So we have the XXXG-01D2 Gundam Deathscythe Hell Custom.
Party City ass bitch.
I love this thing. I don't know why Nico's such a hater all the time.
I feel like it gets rid of its cape too fast. That's my only thought.
I totally agree.
When I was a teenage boy pre-transition, this shit ripped.
Yeah, that is kind of
Nico. I think that's what's getting me.
The one complaint is that the custom does kind of shed, because like in the TV series, Deathscythe gets the mid-season upgrade to Deathscythe Hell, and I feel like that shell, those wings, get used as a defensive shell a lot more.
Yes.
Oh, in so many episodes, he just starts by standing there while people are shooting him in his shell before he pulls out the scythe. Always iconic. And in this one, he lands and it's off.
Right, you would think you'd want that for a more defensive battle where you're just trying to poke at people, but whatever. I mean, it's he's still good. It's still
Is Duo stupid?
A little bit.
I'm sorry. The shoes on this bad boy
are very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
They got little horns on the front. Isn't that great?
I think Nico just doesn't like vampires enough, and that's like really where
this is serving Castlevania, and I'm sending it back to the kitchen.
Yeah. You can be joyless over there. Well, you have, Nico wouldn't know this, but like, speaking of being an institution, I mean, the Deathscythe has one of the coolest Gundam moments of all time when it cuts that fucking carrier in half. Like, that's just a pure icon energy. So like, I don't know. Scythes are stupid weapons, but
explain how they make the laser curved.
How do they make the Shenlong's lasers curved? Like that, none of that is anything.
No, I do love the Deathscythe so much. Okay, moving on to the next one. Tro shows up in the XXXG-01H2 Gundam Heavyarms Custom. Let's talk about our boy.
I think that's what confused me. I think I felt either Hero or Troa. Hero makes sense. It's got the angel wings. I felt like there was a boy mismatch here. I guess I didn't feel like Duo went with the Deathscythe, but then I don't know his character very well. So I think that's why I got confused, and for a while I had Duo confused with Troa.
Well, he wears
like,
the priest collar.
Well, and like it's supposed to be kind of like a fun like dichotomy of like he pilots the evil Castlevania Gundam and he is the most happy-go-lucky, clumsy clown kid ever made.
Yeah. I guess I do like that. I just, again, this is where my experience is suffering for not having context.
But yeah,
anyway,
to the Heavyarms, I think we lose something by going green here. The original Heavyarms was, I think, orange, and I think that was kind of a cooler,
orange and red.
Yeah, cooler color scheme, but I liked it.
The side-by-side of them is very much a, like, we palette swapped and just added more missiles and guns.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what I want in a mech. Is, like, on the kit, it's very clear, like, why does each shoulder need, like, 50 million missiles that flip up from every direction? And they increase the chest. We are now a four cup chest, you know? Like, all it does is add
Top
more
surgery.
Get closer to your mic.
Top surgery.
Oh,
Yeah.
You can cut all of that. Anyway, all this to say, I like it, but also they should have kept the shield. And I also don't like that it uses the exact same machine gun as the Serpent. I don't know. It feels devalued because of that. Also because he never just picks one up after he runs out of ammo.
There's a big issue that I need to discuss with both Heavyarms and the last boy, Sandrock, which is they both have weapons that feature prominently in their original suits that disappear in these customs that I kind of miss. For Heavyarms, it's the knife.
The forearm blade,
Yeah.
which is very Troa coded.
Which is very, very coded. There's a really good scene from it where I think it is Troa just like murders the shit out of an Oz officer by like spinning and like cutting through him. I was looking for a GIF of it earlier. I couldn't find. I'm sure one's out there, but so like that knife is memorable, and there's sort of like a funny feeling to it. Like Troa is the most soldier of them, and so the idea that like he would use all of his like missiles and bullets and then be like, all right, here's a knife.
Still has a K-bar. Still has a K-bar stashed.
Yep. Yeah, because we'll get into
the Deathscythe has his he has a forearm bracer that is also a laser sword / knife.
Yes.
And the custom has it, but he never uses it in this movie.
Yeah.
I was so sad because that is one of my favorite Deathscythe. Like, oh, by the way, I got a knife. Stab.
The Sandrock also has like an Uzi that it just doesn't show up again.
Oh, okay.
I never get over the Uzi, by the way. Anyway, jumping to the next one, the XXXG-01SR2 Gundam Sandrock Custom. How we feeling about Sice?
You mean show tells?
Yeah, I was about to say, aren't those like copishes or whatever? Yeah.
I like the Sandrock in the way that I like a nice toasted bread with butter on it. It's not doing anything crazy, but it's solid.
It's got big
Yeah.
knives. That's good.
I do love that it has a cloak in this.
It is a little bit Edward Said get a load of this shit, but also it's pretty cool. It is part of the
What does it mean
of, like,
when I'm wearing a blanket over my shoulders like a poncho?
Okay, it doesn't have a fez. It has like the head. Okay, I was like, does
The other guys have fezzes.
No, yeah, Quattro's staff will have fezzes.
I was like, please don't put
That's
that on
how
the
you
back.
know. I am very sad that they got rid of their mechs because I love their mechs, but I would have loved to see them return in this fight, but it is what it is.
I always forget what media that's, because there are Magnaut customs, but they don't show up in the movie.
I don't remember where they're from.
Yeah, they're from somewhere.
But they're in the canon somewhere.
Yeah.
So that is our 5 boys. The Tall Geese we already went over. Anybody have any thoughts on the Tall Geese 3? It's slightly more blue now.
Love the Tall Geese. Tall Geese is an all-timer to me.
It also has a giant energy beam weapon that it uses to destroy a resource satellite, and we're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
so this fight. Yeah.
I was going to say just that particular moment, too, is also animated at 9 million frames per second. It looks really good. Love that
Yeah,
shit.
it really does.
I also love, okay, I want to talk about Zex Marquise and Noin for 2 seconds. Good God.
Yeah,
There are those
their
two
deal?
Charlie Brown characters. The one that calls the other one Sir. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
No.
That's Noin and Zex.
Hey, what's up, Pete? Long time no see.
Gosh, Patty, the years have been great to you.
Well, I owe that to my better half. Who is it, sir?
Zex and Noin are lesbians, and they've been in
Zex
this
is a he, him
relationship for a
lesbian.
while. That's
Oh,
so
okay.
real.
All right. I understand now.
I want to reach the level of a Gundam pro tag sitting in their cockpit while their mech is just like
Reading a tiny book?
writing a tiny book to cover your face, but still turning on your camera feed for a reveal.
That had an energy. That, like, you know what? I can admire a fop. Like, I have always been a big admirer of fops, and, like, I think we need more fops in the cockpit. We need more people who have sort of a dainty feel to them. I think less Bishonen who turn out to be badasses, more Bishonen who sort of have a teacup. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So we get 30 minutes of all of these guys beating up and chopping off the heads of serpents. Get it? It's a metaphor. Not killing a single person despite destroying the entire city of Brussels. And then distinctly over here, there are people watching a TV screen in a Christmas plaza watching this fight live. And they're like, I wish we could do more. Grandpa with his daughter alone on Christmas. I thought war was over, Grandpa.
That was so...
Do you get it yet?
The whole thing with the people on the mall.
No, yeah. Let's go here because this is actually the best mech is Dorothy's solid gold semi-truck.
What the fuck was that?
Okay.
So baffling.
All right, Nico.
What are we doing here?
I need you to understand that Dorothy gets introduced in the back half of the TV show, and there's a bit where Relina, who throughout the series is established as having a pink limousine, she rolls up to the school for girls who are not going to be involved in war, I guess. And Dorothy shows up there in very bad faith. And Dorothy is being driven in a gold limousine that is at least like straight up 5 times the size of the pink limousine for no apparent reason. And that is just
like proportioned incorrectly, specifically. It does not look like it is sized correctly for people to use.
Like a novelty check, but it's a limousine.
I kind of have to respect the Flash. I kind of have to respect the real Ojo-sama vibes. Like,
yeah. So she inspires people that, hey,
no,
peace doesn't
Alice.
come
She
free.
negs people. Okay, Relena tries to seize the feed and gets cut.
I have all of her lines.
Yes.
Okay. Relena comes into the broadcast and people are like, oh my God, was that Relena? Maybe this isn't okay. Oh, this is weird. I wish we could do more about peace. What does she say to these people to inspire them, Brian?
She says, run like dogs to Marimea. You are not dogs, actually. You are the tail that is wagged. I see no men around here. The only men I know are buried or on a broadcast on that screen.
Damn. You know, when toxic masculinity is wielded for good by a powerful... Is this fin-doming? Like, is this the whole...
I mean, I wouldn't know. But we get a cool line I like here, which is like, one of the guys is like, I was an ace in the war. I shot down 5 mobile suits. And she's like, you ain't shit now, boy. If you can't defend peace, fuck off.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing here where I guess Relena is having a story arc in the background or having a realization about what peace means and what it means. I don't know. The message I kind of took away from it is like the, they talk about, it's not the fallacy, but it's like the, one of the flaws of democracy is like when you cultivate a space where any ideology can be voiced openly, what do you do when fascism is voiced? Because fascism is an ideology that consumes open spaces and turns them fascist. So it's like, okay, what do you do if you have a parasitic ideology? Can you maintain being democratic and claiming everyone? This is the issue that like America's struggling with. It's like, okay, free speech includes hate speech. And it's like, well, what do you do to maintain it? And I think the realization Relena has, or at least as I understood it, was the realization that like There's a reason at punk bars, if a Nazi punk shows up, one, to test the waters, they chase him out with a baseball bat. Like, unfortunately, to maintain openness and free dialogue for everyone else, you cannot allow a parasitic ideology like fascism to take root. You actually do have to stand up and draw a line. And so, like, that was my understanding of where Relena came to, which is just like, I believe in peace, but unfortunately, these motherfuckers have got to go. And so I need you to stand up and fight for your peace, not to engage in a new war, but to defend what we have here, which I think is interesting. I feel like I agree with elements of that ideology more than kind of the uncomplicated peacetime that's sometimes presented in like anime conflicts.
Like in Gundam
like
Wing, the series?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is I think you're totally right. And I think that this is, it's weird because Relena, like all of the other characters have had like an off-screen arc or two they've developed in some way. But Relena is kind of, I don't enjoy what this movie does with her specifically because you're right. And because, all she really gets to do is have the same journey that she had 50 episodes, which is I am a staunch pacifist. I do not believe in weapons and I do not believe in violence, and I still want to craft a state. And that is basically the journey she has in like the last 5 seconds of this movie as well, which like it's fine. And that is her character, but like I just kind of wish they had done something new with her. But I mean, you know, here we are.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, this is definitely an ensemble cast kind of movie, and the bigger your ensemble, the less time certain people get. That's why I feel like Dorothy just pops up out of nowhere. Like, I don't have context for her, but I know that was a big win for Dorothy stans.
By the way, for some additional Zex context, he and Relena are siblings. This is just Zex text. He and Relena are siblings, and that is just not talked about at any point during this movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Who knows what that is an allegory for or stolen from the original series. Nobody could ever pick that up. So they bus in the protesters. The busing of protesters does happen. But then the fight goes bad. And then, yeah, we've got to talk about the teenage boy cheer moment, which is the Wing Custom shows up on top of the presidential palace. He calls up and he says, "Is your shield active?" And they try to talk to him, and he's like, no. I don't give a shit about words. Is your shield active? Because I don't want to just kill you outright.
This was hard. I'm going to say this. This was a sick fucking scene.
Talk about 1,000 frames per second. Every shot of this dual laser is just the most Gundam shit ever. Blows really up all of the serpents that are protecting the palace. Is just like standing up there taking the shots and then like watching the unit be teared apart by its mega particle cannon. Mm-hmm. Nika will remember that mega particle cannons are put on ships because they'll do this to a mobile suit.
Yeah, seems bad.
And one part I really like about this scene is this is where Mary Maya breaks for the first moment. Like, she has kept to her character of like, oh no, I'm actually in charge and everything that's going wrong is perfectly fine because I have more cards in play. And then the shelter shakes and you see her like start to shake, which is a really cool animation move for her. And then, by the way, Lady Un was there the whole time and saves them from the rubble.
That was kind of like, okay. But I like this moment for Mary Maya because I think up to this moment, if you look back at what's happened in the OVA, she hasn't ever been directly confronted by danger. Mm-hmm. You could see this as a little girl playing dress up and pretend because nothing is actually endangering her yet. She's getting to wear fun outfits. She's getting to make little speeches. She's getting to hang out with Queen Relena from TV. Like, she's having kind of this like fun moment of getting to be the center of attention. And I can see how if we were to look at this realistically as a manipulated child, like this all kind of makes sense. And then it makes sense for this to be the moment that she would break because like, oh, this is no longer happening on a screen. This is no longer happening far away from me. This is actually, I'm actually in danger in a way that like kids can't necessarily conceptualize that in the abstract the way adults can. So I felt like this was sudden but actually consistent, and I sort of liked it. But just a lot is happening here at the end.
If you've been raised in such a bubble held from the light. Oh, by the way, this is Trace's daughter. That's the whole claim to power.
Yeah.
And you've been kept in the dark, which very zombie family vibes. And suddenly you're like, everyone around you is at your beck and call in this army, which is, by the way, it's the Barton Foundation. It's always the Barton Foundation. It was never not the Barton Foundation from the original series.
Don't mean anything to me. Again, just nouns, and I'm just like, okay.
I think that I agree. I think it's a little bit undercut by like the weird. She just becomes so serene and like.
Yeah.
I wish that she had this moment and then still just kind of been a little bit more petulant and spoiled, because that's how she had been up to this point. I also think it's undercut a little bit by the physical comedy of Relena shoving Ann aside so that she can slap her instead.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the whole thing is they're in this bunker.
But I understand the impulse. Yeah. I understand the impulse. Relena's like, okay, no, you have not been listening to her monologue at you this whole time. I've been on trains, planes, and automobiles with this child, okay? I'm slapping the child.
I don't think any of this would have gone down as incompetently in terms of just like the fascist rise. If what's the grandpa's name? I keep wanting to say Dakim, but that's
Dakim.
a fucking.
That's it. You got it.
Yeah,
oh, it is. Oh,
Dekim. Pronounce it Dakim.
Okay. I think that he is way worse than Haman Khan ever was, and that's just all I wanted to say about that.
That is something that means nothing to anybody who hasn't seen it, but yes, 100%. So what I do want to say is we talked earlier about how Relena kind of has to go through her own same journey, but it's this moment, and I'm kind of upset that it was Relena who does the slap, because her entire character is violence is never the answer. And this has broken her to where, like, you can say, like, in a class, like, she is a princess, a slap might not be seen as violence, it might be seen as a way of social decorum, but, like, this is the first time she has done violence in the entire Gundam Wing, and I really think it devalues her message as a character, because we as the viewers are trying to interpret what peace means in this world, and she is always the one who is the proponent of complete peace at all costs, nobody ever slap anybody, and now she's slapped, because maybe we do need a little violence to keep the peace.
I saw PMC have a very physical reaction to that take, and I want to hear about that.
I'm ready.
Relena Peacecraft in like episode like 14 or 16 or something of the television show points a gun at Lady Unn and says, "I think you'll look better bathed in the blood of Oz," or I'll look better bathed in the blood of Oz. So like Relena has her violence moments. Now, obviously, I think the Relena that we have in Endless Waltz is much more the Relena of the back half of the show. So, you know, but I do think Relena has impulses.
Real. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, top 10 slaps. Don't put my husband's name in your mouth ever again. Trey's is my husband. Thanks, Lady Unn. And then, guys, name a better falling in front of a bullet than an 8-year-old child.
I shot a kid.
So he's gonna shoot Relena Peacecraft, and she jumps in front. We have a very tearful moment where she's gonna die. But hey, this is something this movie does that I really love. Who kills Deakim?
Oh, one of his own people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
and I like
one of the
line
soldiers.
he says here, which is just like, I've put down the rebel or whatever it was. It was like the traitor or something. He uses a very specific term, and it was really interesting to see kind of the like colony nationalism interacting with the fascist family thing.
Yeah, he says, "I put down the rebel. I'm sorry. I did this in Trey's name." Like, it's very much a like, oh, because the soldiers who, I mean, we can kind of interpret that the soldiers who are under Mary Maya is people who were loyal to Trey's Kushanada, and they see him in her. And so they're like, well, this is just the continuation of what he was doing, because what you don't know from the series is he was the single most important like voice in that original series. People rallied behind him so deeply, and he finished the war. And so people are like, oh, well, this is his daughter, and she thinks this is what Trey's would have wanted, so obviously. But I think this whole moment is them all realizing, oh, it's just a scared little 7-year-old.
And her fucked up grandpa who has his own imperialist kind of aims.
His own imperialist aims, which he keeps under his stupid hat.
Here it comes to finish the job, because we can't let a kid not die.
Wait, we can't let a kid not
not die. So he comes in and he's like, I'll put you out of your misery. And she says, thanks.
I thought I was about to watch him shoot a child.
Okay, I do like this. The misfire is very good. The misfire of the pistol, and he doesn't act like he has the intention to shoot, but his pistol misfires. Something that happens in Wing a lot is things happen that are just like, oh, a weapon or something didn't work because fate.
I read this differently, I think.
Oh, how do you read it?
He immediately says something, right, Brian, that's like, I've killed her. And then he moves on to his next step, and he just kind of treats that as like, I've taken the action technically, even if it didn't actually kill you.
And maybe it's just because I don't know enough about pistols. I assumed that he knew that the pistol was empty, and was doing this as like a symbolic gesture in a way, because of the way he said that. But I also don't know what a pistol misfiring looks like versus it just being empty looks like. So
yeah,
I don't know if Japanese animators know either.
And he's got like a space pistol. If you look at the trigger and the action, like it's like a space pistol. There's no way to know. A pistol.
PMC, was the pistol loaded? What do you think?
My gut says no, but it also could be a freak thing, just because maybe it's playing on like a reverse direction. And, you know, like this time the violence went less than expected. I don't know. My feeling is that no, that was a bit.
My theory on this is he falls to the bottom of the ocean. He activates by Wing Zero, and he's an old hero, which is focus on the mission because of what he does. And so when he's down there, he's in the fugue state of I am a death soldier. And I think it's a pistol misfire, and he absolutely meant to shoot her. And then he's broken out of the spell.
He has that moment when he's firing the laser into the base where he remembers the dead dog and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, my understanding of how the base wasn't totally obliterated, I mean, I'd have to look at screenshots. My understanding was if he had fired in the exact position a third time, it would have been obliterated, but he fired slightly off course.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that it wouldn't be total obliteration. So I think he is in the headspace of, like, I am doing this mission, but he has remembered the dead dog. He has remembered having feelings. He didn't choose to just obliterate everyone.
Me when I'm remembering having feelings.
So I could imagine. I've never had a feeling in my life.
Relina rushing forward to grab Hero. Come on. She is so obsessed with this man.
She's down catastrophic.
And I had no context for this, so I was just like, oh, right, shonen anime. Oops. I was so caught up in the euphoria of just like 4 guys hanging out and just a bunch of competent women that I forgot that those groups interact.
It's 5. It's literally 5. We've been over this so many times. It's 5 guys. I know.
Anyway.
So this is the end of Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. War is over.
This is the end of Christmas.
We have done it. We get some epilogue scenes. You'll never guess, but we alluded to it earlier. All of the Gundams have a self-destruct sequence we could have used all along.
I do like this is Chekhov's gun that people keep taking off the mantle and then having to put it back on the mantle.
Sorry, you mean Chekhov's Gundam?
Chekhov's Gundam. That's But no, there's a moment when they're in their standoff, their non-lethal standoff, that they're like, well, if we activate the self-destruct, it'll take out like half of these. And then there's like, well, we can't activate the self-destruct this close to them because it'll kill them. If we just want it to be concussive, it's not going to work. And the self-destruct keeps coming up as this device. And I think it's so funny that it's just like, Duo casually says, like, I'll kill everyone on this base and then myself. And then they keep casually talking about self-destruct. I'm like, oh, we were just talking about these kids just killing themselves. Just like whenever the fuck for whatever reason.
Yeah.
The context that Nico doesn't have is Hero's favorite thing in the series is to self-destruct the wing.
He does it all the time. He loves it.
And he always wants to die. Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna die from self-destruct.
This man just needs like Zoloft. Please get this man. Please help him.
So where does
Nico really
go?
said Big Pharma can save him.
Zex and Noin go to colonize Mars. I'm sure this will come up in some manga adaptations. Sally Poe and Wu Fei go and do preventer shit. I'm sure this will also appear in other manga.
In their little Jeep.
And Hero walks around Shibuya.
Yeah. Also, what's Duo doing? He's like buying random junk parts and eating dumplings.
It's It's such a callback to when we first meet Duo and he's hanging out with Howard doing weird electronic
Oh, yeah,
shit.
yeah.
It's such a nothing callback. And Quattro starts a construction company with his guys.
He is Build Back Better, okay?
To be clear, he has oil money. Unaccountable oil money and Minosky particle money. He's fine.
Infrastructure Week is back, folks. Don't worry about it.
He is going to build HS2. Don't worry. Anyway, that's a reference for our UK listeners.
In the history episode that we did with Mark Simmons explained that, and I think this does make it to the final recording, but in the TV series OP, or it might be in the flashback that they used at the beginning of the series, a Leo is shown using a laser cannon in space. At no point in the entire TV show does the Leo ever use that space cannon except for that like intro bit, or if it's the OP, if it's one or the other. And then apparently Mark Simmons is explaining that at some point they were doing a series of Gunpla kits and they output like different weapons for Leos. And they did a kit with that laser cannon that only appears that one time and is never actually used in the show.
I'm 99% sure I have that kit, and I have
that Bandai attention to detail cannot be reckoned with.
Jesus Christ.
We should rate these mechs.
Yeah, Alice, what should we do?
I think we should, we've talked a lot about Christmas, the holidays, what it means to find family and friends, and also to have an Ojo-sama call you a little bitch. But we do need to do something very important, which is rate these goddamn mechs. So, PMC, you've been through this before. What we'll do is we'll go round. Everybody will talk about the mechs, not the media itself, not how fast and how the plots are everywhere and space physics. We are talking mechs only. We're going to go over the different mechs. In this one, we have a couple to talk about, some big main character energy, but we're going to start, as we always do alphabetically, with Brian.
This Gundam Wing's near and dear to me. I love the Power Ranger Gundams. They're like the only Gundams I am classically like, I like mobile suits in Gundam. I don't usually like Gundams. These are the only Gundams that I like consistently really, really enjoy. Just that alone is gonna bring it up a little bit. I do have to dock a little bit because I don't think the Serpent does anything for me, unfortunately. So while this maybe in a different world would have been a 10, I'm gonna give it an 8.
Valid. Nico, you're after PMC because we go alphabetically. PMC? Wait,
yeah.
Wouldn't Alice go first?
LMN.
Oh, she's hosting.
Host goes last. So
yeah.
we do a weird roundabout way.
It is me.
Is N before P or is P before N?
Yes, it is, my dear. I love you so much. You're my world.
Who goes next?
Nico goes next.
Nico, you're up next. I knew that the first time because you're going to cut everything else out.
No, so this one's an interesting one for me, right? Because I'm with Brian. I typically enjoy more of the Principality of Zeon design. Yeah, because I'm evil, objectively. No, I tend to enjoy that design more than I enjoy the Gundam, like, heroic design. And that, unfortunately, does carry through here where, like, you know, I mean, you've heard me call these poor things Party City-ass bitches. They're Gundams with extra bits for me. And I know that's every Gundam, but also, like, for me specifically, like, there is nothing about the main 5 suits. I do think that Shenlong was doing something a little interesting with its theming and kind of the way that like almost the serpent arm seemed to like wrap around the unit, and like that was interesting. And I do like the idea of the heavy arms. I think I like it less actually, knowing that it has a hand and it has options. Commit to the bit. Your arms should be guns and you should give up. But these are my favorite grunt suits. Like, I'm in love with the Leo. I'm very sad. I was obviously surreptitiously Googling this whole time trying to find a model kit, and it's like those were issued again in like 2021, and the only ones you can find now are Amazon price gougers trying to charge you $50 for a $20 kit. Like, it's deeply saddening.
Always wait. They'll always do a rerun.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put like a Google alert out there on the purple one because I want the purple one quite badly.
What you should do is find out if it has a hobby town because you can actually have Hobbytown email you the day they get a specific mobile suit in stock.
Oh, I'll have to do that.
I will also say, yeah, my local store will do that. Most local stores will also have the catalog of what's coming for the next year. So you can always ask them. And also, most local stores will only order one of certain things unless asked for. So be sure to check in on that for kits. This has nothing to do with rating. These are just advices for Gunpla.
This is good tips because I didn't start getting into Gunpla literally until we started the show. And so if there are other people like me who never considered it before and are maybe starting to pick up favorite units or look at what kind of kits are out there, this is really good to know.
Yeah, just like PMC, he has his favorite kits behind him.
Yeah. But, so I can't give this a total thumbs down raspberry noise for not liking the Gundams because I am trying on God to get a Leo kit. So I'm going to give this a 6. I think there's some interesting stuff here. I do not think I love you, Brian, and I love everyone who has strong attachments to these. They're not for me, but that's okay. Because I have purple and green Leo, and purple and green are my favorite colors. So it's it was made for me.
We didn't really talk about it, but I did want to ask, what were your thoughts on Noin's Taurus, the white Taurus?
Oh, post a pic?
I was going to bring this up, but you beat me to it.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, because I think I've spaced that. Okay, this is a 7. I love this thing.
Yeah,
what the
cool.
fuck? Oh, I love the legs. Oh, okay. This is a 7 now.
Plus Thank you. Piloted by one of the women of all time. Yeah.
Women out here providing points.
Sorry, yeah, I knew PMC was going to also call to, because you were talking about you like a Leo. Then boy, do I have another
you've got
series
another
of 11
Leo
other suits that you might like.
Well, great. Now I've got to track this down. And there's even a woman in it, which is huge for me.
PMC, what do you rate these goddamn mechs?
So I would draw attention to 3 groups of suits here. One, we have the customs. I think the customs are very good because they are, perhaps excessive, but they are very specifically themed. And I think the themes push the excess in productive directions as opposed to, say, maybe Double Zeta Gundam, which is just kind of excessive, or, Penelope Gundam or whatever. There's some of these suits that just kind of get too many bibs and bobs. But the bibs and bobs on the custom Gundams all have particular directions that they flow towards. And I think that makes them very strong. You have a lot of the legacy grunt suits that show up here. We've talked a lot about the Space Leos. We also, just did talk about the Noin's White Ford Taurus, which is very, very strong, which I always appreciate. The default Taurus is a black design. So when this shows up in the show, this is very, very distinctive. And then you have, the new suit, effectively, right? The Serpent. And I did trash talk the Serpent before, but really what I was trash talking was the action sequence. I think the Serpent is very good at kind of the how a grunt suit gets used in Gundam Wing, which is to say most of the time grunt suits are standing still, maybe shooting, and then instantly exploding. That is typically what a grunt suit does in Gundam Wing. And I think the Serpents, because they're kind of just big blocky guys, there's a lot of them to explode. I think they're very good for that. And so you kind of just have a perfect storm of mobile suits. I think Endless Waltz is kind of as cool as it gets for mobile suits. It's a 10 out of 10.
Nice. I love a standing man emoji, but something I love more than a standing man emoji is a season 2 upgrade unit. And the custom versions of the main 5 boys are amazing. I actually really love the Tallgrass 3.
The what?
The Tallgrass 3. I own a kit of that because I love it so much. It's a good master grade kit if you ever want to build one. And then I like the Serpent. It's so cute. It's out here trying its best. Honestly, just in an hour and 30 minutes, we get so many cool and unique designs and also throwbacks to the series that I problematically love. So this one for me is a 10 out of 10. I love the mechs in this.
You know what? That's the spirit of the season.
That is the spirit of the season. But we do have to rate one last mech, guys. What about that Christmas tree in the plaza?
I like a big tree. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's a Christmas tree. I rate it a hot dog soup out of 10.
All right. With that, we will now head to our second break. Hey guys, Alice here. Thanks for listening to On the Shoulders of Giants. We're really happy you're here, but if you know anybody who might be interested, we'd love if you share our work with them. If you are enjoying what we're doing, maybe send us a message, or what would really help us out is if you leave a review online. Really, a lot of the algorithms will push people down if they don't have reviews, so it really helps if you just go and write something on the internet. Heck, we might even read one on the podcast if it's really nice and makes our hearts go doki doki. So if you could do that, maybe do it, and thanks again for listening. Now, back to the show. Welcome back from the break. It's time to play a game. Now, on this Mary Camphor episode, we have a wonderful guest here in OSG Studios sitting down by the fire with us, and because they have made the mistake of showing up, we are going to do damage to them.
As is our way.
Brian, did you want to host this one, or should I just walk
I
through
have
it?
the quiz pulled up, but it's totally up to you.
I would like you to, because I've been talking a lot. PMC, we have to find your conviction. Which theory on how to deal with the Gundams do you subscribe to? And to do this, we are going to use a scientific study on you. A personality quiz to find out which Gundam Wing boy you are.
We are all now your grandpas. We're
We are
going
all
to
the
put on
professors.
different mustaches.
On the shoulders of
Okay.
science creeps.
Brian will be subjecting you to rounds of questions. You will have to choose the one that you would most likely answer to the question out of the answers provided, and that will help us determine which of the 5 boys you are and which custom suit we're throwing you in to drop like a meteor. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
Brian, hit him.
Question 1, and I suspect we're already going to know the answer to this due to the context of our last break, but what is your favorite beverage? Coffee, tea, water, specifically clear, refreshing water to chase down whiskey, which is a different answer, and soda.
I'm going to have to go with a coffee here. Certainly it is the bitter beverage is the one that I desire.
Okay.
Brian, can you read the full text of that answer now?
No, I already went on to the next one.
Okay.
Question 2. You have been captured and are being interrogated. What do you tell the interrogators? Everything they want to know, your entire life story starting from the moment you were born, that they can go fuck themselves, absolutely nothing, ask them how their day is going, or just not pay attention to them at all.
I think I would ask them how their day is going.
How are you doing, guards?
You're getting black bagged. Just be like, oh.
Guys, you wouldn't believe what's
How you
happened to me today.
Question 3. Your father expresses disapproval of your latest antics. How do you respond? My
I know
what?
this is hard to imagine, by the way.
My what? Argue with him. You're doing what's right, even if he doesn't like it. Dad, you're alive? I have no father, but if I did, I'd just do what he'd hated even harder. And then the last one is, I disapprove of my father's antics, so I guess we're on even ground.
I think I'm going to go with the last one. I disapprove of my father's antics.
Okay. Okay, question 4. What song would you want played at your wedding? An original piece you made yourself? You can't hear the music, you're too busy arguing with your spouse. Dust in the Wind, White Reflection, unintended but enthusiastic circus music, or No Wedding, I'm eloping.
Wow, that is...
The circus music.
Now I'm just thinking about the Tro Barton and Kathy relationship. Because
oh my
episode
God.
0 heavily implies they might secretly be siblings, but we can't really be sure. So that's...
we got a Luke and Leia situation.
Yeah, it could be have a Luke and Leia over there. I mean, the answer is White Reflection, but, you know.
Yeah.
Not the circus music? You're not going to get the Calliope organ in there?
We're good. I feel like circuses are always a place of violence. You know, there's always somebody getting murdered at them. The Waynes.
And the animal mistreatment, it was really funny to do this whole thing about like, wow, we're living in peace. And you know what's a great symbol of peace? Like 5 elephants
That's right.
performing it. And I'm like,
getting them
this
into
is a
space
different
probably
era.
wasn't very nice now, was it?
No. Question 5. You approach an enemy soldier from behind. What do you throw? A punch?
Coffee.
These hands, these feet, I'm just going to launch my entire body at these fools. A cabbage. Why would I throw anything when I can just shoot them? I announce my presence first to knock them out when they turn to face me. And then an explosive is the final answer.
Explosive. Oh, that is those last 3 options are all very powerful, because I feel like the comedic timing bit of announcing yourself and then punching them as they turn is always, that's like one of the best things to do, is to like walk up behind someone and just put your fist right next to their face and then call out their name so that they put their face right into your fist. That is a good bit. You know what? I'm going to go with that. I'm going to announce myself. That's right.
Okay. Dope. Question 6. What kind of cookie are you?
That's a good one.
Answer 1 is what? Answer 2 is snickerdoodle. Answer 3 is oatmeal raisin. Answer 4 is I'm too healthy to be a cookie. Sugar cookies, sweet for all. Macarons, or fig roll cookies, comma, so no one is happy.
I mean, the truthful answer is certainly oatmeal raisin. I'm a lifelong defender of oatmeal raisin cookies.
Yes,
so.
Love oatmeal raisin.
I just love the spite fig roll.
I know. I also like fig rolls.
Yeah,
I don't know what this
fig roll is, but okay.
I think Quattro is the snickerdoodle.
You people are sick.
This one is the only thing Nico will fully understand this whole episode.
Thank you.
Question 7. Relena Darlian invites you to her birthday party. What do you do? Threaten to kill her, ignore her, accept the invitation, but show up to the party 3 hours late, anxiously wonder how she found you, accept the invitation but don't go, graciously accept the invitation and plan to get her a nice gift.
Accept but don't go, I think is the only way to deal with Relena.
Aw.
You're not going to tear it in half and say, I'll kill you.
I mean, only if the music is right. You need like a weird, like ambient, screeching saxophone in the distance. And then I could tear the invitation apart.
Question 8. What do you and your friends do together for fun? Classified. My what? We keep drinking, but never enough to get drunk. I don't know what that means. Drink coffee together in utter silence. Be gay, do crimes. Indulge a common interest, or I try to steer them in the right direction with the sheer force of my disappointment in them.
Oh, that last one. That disappointment is I feel like that is the way to do it, is just to constantly be surprised, and maybe that'll get them to act in line.
Be scandalized by everything they do.
That's right.
Oh, this is interesting. Question 9. You need to make a deal with the Fae. They ask you for your name. What do you tell them? Your name? Your nickname? Duo Maxwell. I have no name. Wait, am I a Fae? I didn't hear the question. I'm still trying to explain what I need and keep talking over them. They give me what I want, so I just go away. I guilt trip them hard enough to get out of the bargain, or you don't have a name. The Fae are frustrated with me and throw you out.
I'm like you. I have no name. Okay, so the answer is Duo Maxwell, and I need to explain the reason why the answer is Duo Maxwell.
Yes, please.
Because you hate that kid.
Nico, there is a bit. So in Gundam shows, it's a big demarcation point when you go from the Earth to space, and so there's a part where a bunch of the boys go back to space. Some of them without their Gundam, so they're just kind of doing little infiltration stuff. And for some reason, Hero and Duo very, very, very briefly go back to school. Like they start out the show in schools undercover, they go to space and they go back into a classroom for some reason. And Hero at one episode, Hero is reading aloud a sort of he's like narrating like a description of what's going on, like a political experience. And at the end of the whole thing, he like signs it like, and my name is Duo Maxwell. Just like, it would be like if you like posted like an op-ed about how actually, the guy who shot the CEO is fantastic, and then signed it in like your best friend's name. Like that's the kind of energy that it has.
Hi, I'm a huge fan of cock, and my name is
Cyril Figgis.
Okay, final question. If you could live anywhere, where would you live? Adrift at sea, it doesn't matter as long as you're with the ones you love. Mars, somewhere to get some peace and quiet, somewhere to get some chaos and excitement. Home is where the heart is, and your heart has wanderlust. Bye. On a different plane of existence.
I mean, I think on Mars, Reed Frozen Teardrop.
God damn it.
All right, here we go.
Drum roll, please.
Your result is that you are Zex Marquise or Miliardo Peacecraft.
There you go.
This makes sense because you arrived in the podcast and you said, "Call me wind."
That's right.
I will find a fire.
Words are wind.
When I called you, you answered the phone holding a small, tiny book in front of your face and slowly revealed it to me. And I said I would go to Mars to you and watch Frozen Teardrops.
I want to read the last part of this little explanation for the result, which is your desire to do right in the face of conflict is admirable, but sometimes you have to learn to pick your battles. Stop picking all of them. Put some of those battles back.
No, that's right. That's right.
That advice can help you, PMC.
Yeah.
Other hosts, what did you get on this quiz?
Oh, I don't know.
Asking, I got Quatra.
Aw, we'll have to take
I
it.
didn't take it.
We'll have to
I'll
take it off air
at
and then
some
post
point
about
report.
it. Yeah.
It's 10 questions. Do it right now.
Link me, bitch.
It's in the fucking document.
Okay.
Oh, it is? I literally Googled it and just happened to find the same one.
It's under name of the game. Here's a link. Do it real quick. Do you prefer him when he was Miliardo Peacecraft or when he was Zex Marquise PMC?
His perfect moment is when the helmet breaks.
Yes, agreed.
That is the Quantum Zex. That is his ideal form. I think that's
his ideal.
Like Zex Marquise. Like the funny thing is that even though he gets rid of the helmet, mostly what he just stops doing is being friends with Treize. Like his approach to life doesn't really change, I think, that much. I don't know. Like it is difficult to assess to what extent is he even responsible for the end of the series, because it just feels like they needed someone to get an Epion and be the villain at the end of the show. And, and it's like, I don't know. Look, we can all make that argument for why Char does that in Char's counterattack. It's harder to make that argument for why Miliardo does that at the end of Wing.
Because of the homoerotic tension he has with Treize Kushanada.
For a second, I thought you were about to say with Cairns. I was like, wow, okay.
Oh, I'm disturbed by that thought.
I remember.
You know what the worst part is because of this conversation, the next Gundam property we're going to cover is probably going to be Tyrion.
There you go. That's
all right. I have my result.
I'm ready.
I got Duo.
Duo coded motherfucker.
Nice. I'm so close to done. Sorry.
Take your time. The Fae question threw me off because do Fae exist in the Wing universe? Maybe.
There's no way to know.
Are the professors Fae that you make a deal with to get a Gundam?
Oh.
And a name. Oh,
I'm absolutely talking over the Fae. I have ADHD.
I did want to, we didn't mention it, but I just do want to give one note, which is when the Gundam Heavyarms custom shows up the first time, he does have a half clown mask like Troa.
Yes.
For a brief moment that gets knocked off. It's
extremely good.
Brian, we are the same person. I also got Duo.
Wow.
Oh, we're all the soft boys in the group. Well, that was our game. We now have our casting for our fan script reading of Gundam Wing Endless Waltz that we will be doing later.
Me and Brian alternate Duo, and then we don't have anyone else.
All right, I need to apologize to Alice because I was reminded of a meme that I made like years ago, and it might do psychic damage to you, but I'm going to put it into the DM anyway. I apologize.
Oh, the reactions are dire. Alice is out of the frame. Brian has looked to God.
For the listener who obviously can't see this, it is a parody of the Yes We Can Obama image, except it is the face of Cans, the rebel leader from Gundam Wing, and it says Yes We Cans, obviously with his name instead of the word Ken.
and expertly photoshopped to be in that like triple tone color scheme that those posters were in.
Fairy or whatever the name of the artist was.
Yeah.
It's in that style. So
you know when new types fry out? That's what just happened to me. I'm fucked.
You just turned all the women you killed into a space laser.
Well, we're getting a flash transmission from deep space. I think it's coming from the resource satellite.
Mm-hmm.
we have a letter. PMC, you're going to have to help us with this one.
Okay.
Sorry, it's time sensitive. After all, it's Christmas year. We've got to get this sorted. Dear OSG crew, my late father left me 500 mobile suits and a weaponized space colony. My grandfather says I should use it all immediately to take over the Earth sphere, but I think I should save them for a rainy day. There's a lot of other people telling me what they think I should do with everything my father left me, but I'm only 7. I just want to wear a beret with a feather in it and play pretend at being a princess. What do you think I should do? Sincerely, Mimi. Thanks for writing in, Mimi.
Wow.
I want to say, love that gift. Every Christmas, I hope for 500 identical mobile suits and a weaponized space colony to drop on Australia. And so I'm a little jealous.
I think it's time for the biggest tea party that the Earth sphere has ever seen. I think you gotta call all your friends. You gotta make friends if you don't have 500 friends. You go make friends, okay? And well, no, what you need to do, call Queen Relena and tell her like, hey, I got all these. You can disarm them, but you have to get me 500 people together who will do custom dress up and paint jobs and act out at my tea party, and then I will let you disarm these.
Wait,
I think Relena would organize that.
Are the mobile suits drinking tea or the pilots are drinking tea?
Yeah. No. Mobile suits and they've got to make custom teacups. Big ass custom teacup. They don't have to be filled with anything. Tea party rules.
You don't have to make anything. Just take the teacups from the spinny ride at the amusement park.
Yeah, exactly. Get 500 of those, and they are all organized into a huge tea party. Okay, that's what we're doing, and I think Relena Peacecraft could make that happen if at the end of it you agreed to let her slag all of those. And that's what you use the weaponized space platform for. Is obviously the venue. So.
Before you all drop on Earth, or is that all out of the question here?
I mean, it depends on how the tea party goes.
Yeah.
Brian, do you have another pitch for this? Or are you in on the tea party idea?
I have another pitch, but it's very similar. My brain went to a very similar place, which is I think that you have the perfect workings for and we've established that mobile suits are capable of doing this because of Troa Barton. I think you have the perfect ground to set up a Mech Olympics gymnastics symposium, including things like synchronized swimming, calisthenics competition, like any of the things that you could do in Gunbuster with your mechs. I think you should do for show. And the added benefit is if the ratings are bad enough, you can just drop the colony on Australia.
Everybody fucking clap or I'll blow this whole planet up.
Imagining 4 serpents on a bobsled team is very funny to me. DMC, what do you think Mimi should do with these 500 mobile suits in a weaponized space colony?
I think it's important to rein Grandpa in a little bit. I think you got to set your sights, measure your goals appropriately. Maybe instead of ruling the Earth, you can just rule the space sphere. You can rule Mars. You could... just rule, like, no one wants Brussels. Like, this is, I think, her biggest mistake is going to Brussels. She really could have just picked anywhere else, and I think things would have gone a lot better. So, I would say start small. Maybe don't deploy all of them at once. You gotta just get a little more intrigue going, because look, there's some weirdos out there. They're like calling themselves like Wind and Fire and shit. You gotta be, who knows what's going on out there. You gotta
Wind and Fire is out there and they're after you.
Yeah. When Earth shows up, we're all fucked, right?
I love this idea of just like revealing a few at a time. Cause like, listen, if nobody has guns and you have 1 gun, that's already a lot of power. You don't need nobody has guns and you have 500 guns. Like, just slowly make them think maybe you have 5. And then if those get destroyed, you deploy 5 more. And then they're like, did you repair them? No one needs to know you have 500 of these things. That's called soft power.
Also, you don't need to kidnap a princess to play pretend princess. You can just, like, invite them. Like, princesses probably would show up. I don't know, right? Like,
just invite Dorothy. She'd be so much more into this than Relena. You don't even know.
Oh my God, Dorothy would yes and this entire thing.
Gold plate 1 serpent, and she is with you, ride or die.
Right or die. Well, Mimi, thank you for writing in. We hope this helps you during this tumultuous holiday season, and sorry to hear about your dad dying in the space war.
That he started.
Guys, I'm laying here on the ground. I've been shot by my grandfather. I'm being cradled. Brian, you're standing over me, pointing a pistol at me, waiting to... Well, actually, no, this is probably PMC. PMC, you're the guest. You can be standing over me with a pistol with the opportunity to finish me off. And we're sitting here in the bottom of this bunker in Brussels as a soft snow falls on this merry camphor. Do you have any final thoughts on Gundam Wing Endless Waltz?
My feeling on Gundam Wing Endless Waltz this time around was that I think the early parts are the first like 2/3 are actually much stronger than the ending. As I said before, I think the anytime you have a pair of boys interacting is extremely good in this film. That's really the stuff to highlight. As always, the espionage is good, and anytime a Leo is getting piloted is outstanding.
Nico and Brian, any final thoughts on your end?
I would live or die for the Leos and the Tauruses and all those little guys with a rectangle or a square for a face.
Yeah. I think that people should not watch Gundam Wing, but I do think people should watch Gundam Wing Endless Waltz. That's my final thought.
Yeah, I just think if you're gonna, out of all the Gundam properties, you don't need to know anything. This is just a great time. This is just fun. It's Christmassy. I do still tear up at multiple moments during this movie. It has the same emotional damage I had since a child. Don't know what that means. Should probably talk to my therapist about that.
Make your therapist watch Gundam Wing Endless Waltz.
But, well, we'll figure out if PMC shoots me by the end of this episode as I'm bleeding out here on the floor. But thanks for listening, pilots. Remember, you can reach out for advice from our team at our email, questions@osgpod.com, and non-pilots can send general questions or feedback to the same address. You can also catch up with us on social media. Links are in the descriptions for updates and more. I also wanted to shout out Brian's recent release of the Counterweight Cookbook, available for free for download on the OSG Pod website. If even you just want to read it for the funny jokes, it's worth that, but the recipes are actually pretty great. Make sure to check back in 2 weeks when we'll be discussing the first of the Ghost in the Year, Ghost in the Shell 1998. The first movie in the series.
I thought we were doing Year in the Shell.
Oh, shit.
Year in the Shell.
We'll be discussing Year in the Shell, Ghost in the Shell 1998. The first entry into our Year in the Shell series. Until then, goodbye. I love you.
Goodbye. I love you. Also, it was 1995.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I was wondering about that, too.
Goodbye. I love you.
Thank you.